Happy New Year and welcome to what is sadly our final episode of 6 on 6. I don't like starting off the show on such a depressing note, but over the long winter month, a little hibernation we just took after multiple conversations with Fet, Mint, and all of the folks at Last Free Nation, we've all decided together that with it being 2026, it was time for us to close the chapter on another 6, which is 6 on 6. This show's had a really great run. Let's be completely honest. It started in my bedroom. It started in Troy's bedroom during lockdowns. We brought in guests. We shared stories. Some people laughed. Some people cried. You watched live. You watched it back. You listened to it. You participated. And it gave us an incredible body of work. But as the game of Rainbow Six Siege evolves and we evolve as people, sometimes things change. So if you can join me just for a small moment in taking some time in silence and in memoriam as we say goodbye to 6 on 6. And hello to DBNO, our new show. Some of you who follow Fet, Mint, myself behind the scenes, you'll know that we've been mulling over the idea of a rebrand. Truth be told, I never really liked the name 6 on 6 to begin with. It was one that we had to come up with on the spot because our name got stolen by an esports org called G2. We were originally going to call it PostPlant in the day that we had all these graphics made. We were going to go live, etc. They literally announced a podcast with the exact same name. So we scrambled to call it 6 on 6. But given that we are 3 new people, I guess I'm technically somewhat of a new person. Troy is no longer involved with the day-to-day, and we are on a different podcast network. We decided, why not pick a name with new branding, new identity, and everything that would allow us a fresh start. And why not, for the very first show of 2026, we say goodbye to 6 on 6, hello to 2026, and hello to the DBNO show. I'm Intero. I'm joined by both Fet and Mint, and welcome to our first episode of the new season.
Hello, new 3 people.
Hello. Hey, Parker, what does DBNO stand for?
Well, great you should ask here. When we were deliberating over the name changes, we didn't know if we wanted to go with the acronym of DBNO, which for people who play Rainbow Six Siege will know that down but not out is a mechanic in our game. You get downed, you can still be resuscitated, you can still be revived, you are down, but you are not out. And funny enough, it actually fits this podcast too really well because we kept being down, but then we would just emerge from nowhere. We'd be revived for one episode and then we die again, right? So I thought it was quite fitting, but also it is quite a practical application. DBNO and down but not out is not just a video game term. You're going to recognize it from playing Rainbow Six Siege, but for everybody else, they'll be familiar with down but not out. The only thing I do kind of want the audience to weigh in on here is, do we call it the DBNO pod? Do we call it down but not out the show? Do we call it the DBNO show? Sound off in the comments. Give me your thoughts, because right now we are still kind of figuring out what our full branding is. And we've got this great overlay made by our friend Candor. He did all of the graphics for 6 on 6. We are still working through this overlay as well. So any feedback you have, please rush to the comments to give it to us. Gentlemen, you were a part of this. I know that I drove the bus on this, but what are your thoughts on the name changes? Give me your thoughts on 6 on 6 as an overall name. Was it fucking dog shit? Was it terrible? Are you glad it's gone? Is DBNO better? Sound off.
See, I don't know about all that. I think there's going to be some people that might be a little bit upset because 6 on 6 has been around for, 6? It might even be 6 years from now. Wow, 6 on 6 for 6 years. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe 5, 6. I'm not going to say the next number after
6,
that.
7, dude.
Okay, you will. All right. And it's fitting. There's been a lot of players also in our esport that got dropped, and they were down, but they were not out, such as Hot and Cold himself. What a great episode that was back on when they were.
He cried.
Some guy on DZ was also a part of that, maybe, where I dropped my best friend and went on to, now being on one of the best teams and currently the greatest IGL in the game. So, down but not out for sure.
Our first episode of 6 on 6 was June 9th, 2020. So just shy of 6 years. It was when Troy was still with, I think he was with SSG at this time, and he was in the old SSG house, if memory serves correctly. Fet, you were but a wee boy when the show first started. So I don't think you were consuming Rainbow Six content 6 years ago. But I'm sure you probably tuned into at least maybe one episode, maybe not. Just lie to the people.
I definitely watched 6 on 6 back when I was in high school. It was just every single day I would wake up in high school and I would just be like, oh my God, I can't wait. to listen to Nintendo. Yep. No, but I saw it everywhere. I saw clips of it everywhere. I never like listened to a full episode because I was a fucking teenager and I had the attention span of a goldfish. But it's iconic. I think Parker hates on the name because it's his own goddamn show, but I think it's an iconic name. And it's but at the end of the day, I think one of the big parts of the rebrand is because 6-on-6 was Parker and Troy, and now it's no longer Parker and Troy. It's Parker and two dudes, right? So
Pretty much, yeah.
How many cups?
Oh my god! Oh my god! That's a big throwback.
For people who want to know about the name and the history of it, in case you haven't ever seen it or always been kind of curious, basically we went through this whole process of coming up with names, etc., and we worked on it. Troy and I did for a couple months, and finally we settled on PostPlant. Because the PostPlant in Siege is so important, and it's a hallmark of a lot of first-person shooters. Once you get whether the bomb down, spike down, whether you get the diffuser down, whatever you call it, whatever game it might be, the PostPlant is a tense moment. It's the final moments before something big happens. And we kind of wanted the show to be like that, right? Like we wanted the show to be important. We wanted it to have a sense of urgency to it. It's why we brought on a lot of guests, many of whom were relevant, whether it's because they just won a major, or maybe they had something go off, a big YouTube video, a big clutch. Maybe they'd just been dropped by their best friend. Like we wanted people to come on in the moment and talk about it. And the show was supposed to be live. It was not pre-recorded. It was live on my channel every single Saturday. People knew to tune in. There would be audience participation. And then the morning that we'd spent the week prior teasing on Twitter, oh, we're going to do a podcast. Oh, we're going to do a podcast. Oh, we're going to do a podcast, just farming likes. And then I literally wake up at like 9 a.m. my time, which was 3 p.m. in Europe. And I noticed that G2 has started a Counter-Strike podcast called PostPlant. And I just about punched my monitor in half. And so immediately I messaged Troy and Candor, and we had all of the graphics done as well. They're kicking somewhere where it was like PostPlant, and then like the negative space of the O in post was like the diffuser outline, like the case in our game. It was cool shit. And then I was like, fuck, well, now what are we going to do? So we called it 6-on-6. The name comes, I know maybe he's not as popular these days as he used to be, but Drake was very popular at the time, and he was referring to Toronto as the 6 because we have 6 boroughs. Our area codes are 416 and 647. He called it the 6. And with both Troy and I being from Toronto and Rainbow Six being the game, we thought 6-on-6, Toronto on Rainbow Six Siege. Like that was just the connection. It was nonsense that we just had to come up with. And we scrambled, and that's why we never had a proper logo. The logo was always just 6-on-6 in typical typeface. There was nothing beyond that. And truth be told, I never liked it. I always thought it was kind of silly. Our game is 5-on-5, 5v5. It's not 6-on-6. I don't know. I was never a big fan. And there was no real nice way to like put it into an acronym like the number 6-on-6. I don't know. I didn't like it. So anyway, we talked about changing the brand. When we first got hired by Last Free Nation, they said, do you want to change the name? And I said no, because I thought that the brand value of 6-on-6 was too high. And I thought if we were going to resurrect this show, because it was down but not out, and if we wanted to resurrect this show, I thought that we needed to keep the branding the same just to get it off the ground. And now that we're off the ground, now it's time for us to pivot. And why not the first show of 2026 to do that? So, Fett, you were one of the final guests before we went to Last Free Nation. I actually think you were on the second last show before when you won with Beast Coast, and then
Coast to Cloud. Yeah. Oh my god, back when you used to have the clever, non-insulting to Reddit titles that they
get so mad
dogging on us about, even though none of us have any part in titling the video, the things. But
I came up with all those names myself, by the way. Every single old 6-on-6 episode, I named every single one of those. I'm taking credit for it now.
Yeah. Now you keep shitting on it, and honestly, the new branding is super sick. If you notice in the O, it's the little, when you're down in Siege, that's what it looks like. That's super cool, right? But I want to ask you, since we're leaving behind 6-on-6 in a sense, what are your favorite memories from the show? Because honest to God, it was no doubt the most viewed podcast in Siege Esports history. It was monumental. It created so many moments and peaks into the competitive life for fans trying to follow on, or during the peaks and valleys of what Siege Esports was throughout its whole lifespan. You were always there to cover almost everything that was happening. What are your favorite moments?
There's a lot of big ones, and before I get into it, I do want to say that we were able to run because both Logic Bomb and Hot Breach walked. Like I understand, like I think that there's no real metric in my mind, but I do think now we are the most watched esports podcast like throughout the history of the esport from start to finish. But I think people forget that when you had like Get Flanked, Rogue9, Prodigio Pete, and Zeronic involved on both like the Hot Breach and then Logic Bomb, I forget what order they came in, but basically that was a huge show, right? And then obviously Get Flanked had his own, The Pro and the Potato, which he had, which was also like an esport podcast. All of those shows laid a foundation for us to come in. And I mean, I at the time was, you know, a relatively large caster, if not the second biggest caster in the scene just after Kicks. Troy was one of the biggest players in the scene as well. So we were able to just immediately hit the ground running. And, you know, if it was just two random guys doing what we were doing, we probably wouldn't have gotten the same audience. So it's like, we tried to live up to that. And I think we did. And when you talk about like big moments, the one that really resonates with me the most, and I know that Kyle's probably got his own because he'd already referenced the Hot and Cold podcast, was when we made Fabian cry. So Fabian came on the show. He was one of our first set of guests. And I called in a favor and I was like, I want you to be on the show. It'll help legitimize us. People love you, you know, and also he can be raw. Like Fabian doesn't filter his thoughts. And there was a moment towards the end of the show where he started to talk about Shaz. And Shaz was the coach of Penta, coach of G2, British guy named Tom, awesome guy. Can't say enough good things about him. And their relationship had largely deteriorated, and I can't remember if he'd been dropped or what, or if he wasn't coaching, or Fabian had moved to Vitality. I honestly can't remember the exact timeline. But Fabian started crying, talking about how much of an impact Tom had on him, not as a coach, because obviously that was huge, but as a person. And I think, you know, Mint obviously can talk about this as a coach. You're not quite as old, so maybe you don't have that same perspective, Eric, but a lot of younger guys will look to the older men in the scene for like, you know, guidance, to be a role model. And we often forget that, you know, somebody like Stompin is like a child basically, but he has hundreds of thousands of followers. That's a lot of responsibility to heap onto one person. So having like a coach or an adult in the room to help you develop, to be there for you, to give you those pep talks, to give you guidance is oh so important. And Fabian reminded us of like the human element of it all, that he can be an asshole all he wants, which he often is, and he plays that up. But he's still a real human who needed guidance himself. And he found that in Tom. And I thought it was a great episode. The other one that jumps to mind was that retirement home episode that we did. We knew that a couple people would be retiring. So we decided to host the show on that day. Canadian had just retired from SSG. Pengu had just retired. Fabian had just been benched. And then later that day, Shate announced his retirement. And we had all of them on the exact same show. And it was like hell. It felt like the Royal Rumble. Like, because we were live and we just bring Shate on. We start talking about all these players and it's like you hear their number ring and the crowd goes fucking crazy and then somebody comes on. That was a great show. And then just as a sentimental point, being able to spend, you know, a couple hours talking about the history of Michael. Obviously, can't really have podcasts with Kicks anymore. So we have that forever immortalized. And my personal favorite name, calling it Kicks on 6, was something I had in back pocket for a while. If people liked The Empire Strikes Back call a lot, I was sitting on Kicks on 6 since the moment that we came up with the podcast. So I'm glad that we got to see that one through. But now let me turn the tables on you two. Fett, obviously you didn't watch the show, but Kyle, what did you think? What were your favorite moments? Is it the hot and cold moment?
I mean, that's definitely one of them. Just because it was like, first off, the esport podcasts that we have, I think, are like almost essential for this game to thrive. Like people, we don't have enough games in Pro League, and like people that love watching the esport want somewhere to collect and talk about the game and theorize on different things and get into the drama and understand the pro players and things like that. So I think it's really important. And the hot and cold one was pretty cool because it was drama, right? You got to hear straight from the source about somebody getting dropped, and normally you don't hear that stuff. It's always like covered up. And people talk about things very quarterbacky and managerial, and like, you know, they're trying to be very professional. But Matt coming on with a lot of emotion and was just like completely honest about his point of view, which obviously it's his side of view and there's other sides of view. But that was really cool to kind of see and get the emotion of in that. I think just overall, I think looking back on it, I think the fact that the show was live was pretty pretty sweet. Like all pro players basically stacked in chat. I remember
That was nuts.
you know what I mean? Like asking questions or talking to the community and like being involved in it. Like that was kind of the best part of it. Was again, it was just like where the community can just kind of gather. You know what I didn't like about it was you guys did the Charlotte Major podcast and talked about the Charlotte Major, and then a certain team won, and I think there's a big 2-year gap right after that episode. So not sure where episode 29 went.
You won and we didn't bring you on. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I wish we had. This is one thing that we'd like to bring back in the new year. I'd like to bring back some live shows. Obviously that there's benefits to being able to edit the show and do things in post, but I thought it was real raw, and I do kind of miss the aspect like where, you know, we would be doing a podcast. I know there was one period of time where we were talking about the visa situation when, if you remember, both FaZe and Nip had problems getting visas to Tokoname. And Mav, who was on FaZe Clan, came into chat and was like, hey, by the way, the narrative that like Ubisoft and ESL fucked up is wrong. Like people just did not do their job, and because like in the esports org, and because of that, like that's an immediate fact check, and that's the kind of thing you're not going to get in, you know, if it's pre-recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I will say I'm glad to have all of you on here. If you did watch it or even just want to talk about the significance of it, you can go ahead.
well, I was gonna throw in the next interview question, which is that, you know, now that I'm interviewing you, Mr. Parker and Taro. But no, I think what Mint said it about, you know, 6-on-6 being vital to the ecosystem of R6 esports is so incredibly true. Because if I think about what other esports were when they were the most popular, there was always a sort of connectedness between the pros and the fans. Right? Like you as a fan always want to feel that kind of almost parasocial relationship where you want to know more, where you want to know the inner workings, where you want to know how your favorite pro is doing. And Siege always had that issue of being so disconnected because not enough people were streaming, not enough people were playing with each other, not enough people, you know, people had crazy egos or whatever. And I think 6-on-6 was so vital to the community. It was so incredibly important, right? That, you know, people take for granted. They think that this is some like supplementary show, when back then, I'm telling you, like the scene itself stood on the shoulders of people like you, Parker. So my question, I guess, for you guys is, what sentiments, and for the audience too, call to action for the audience, first call to action of the new show, what sentiments or what like community views do you think would not have happened if it weren't for 6-on-6? Like if we didn't have that peek into the inner workings of pro life and pro ins and outs and networking and organizational stuff, what do you think, what information majorly would not have gotten anywhere? And then the community would have gone years without knowing shit.
Yeah, I think that's a good question to ask them, and also just for them to share their favorite moments, right? Like we did have some raw moments. We had Doki on the show. Doki obviously got banned for toxicity, if you recall. It was a bit of a fiasco. He didn't make that Navi roster, which, speaking of Tokoname, won the whole thing. Doki had to sit on the bench and watch that happen. And we brought him on the show, and we were not particularly pleasant about his toxicity ban. Like I kind of gave him the gears a little bit and just said, like, explain yourself. You know, like, here's your platform. Like, you apologized on Twitter. Let's talk through it. And I think being able to do that, I think, is very important. We had, you know, Super was a guest of ours, obviously, a number of times. But he's also very active in chat. And it's like, if we do ever bring this show back from a live perspective, I have no doubt he'd be in there talking about his own perspective. And it's valuable. We do exist in silos, right? When I first started playing Siege way back and I started casting, pro players didn't interact with content creators. A lot of the casters were kind of separate as well. And it's just like, we needed to bridge that gap. I think SI does a great job of that. It's a celebration of all things that make Rainbow Six great, whether it be cosplay, whether it be content creation, whether it be the casual side of things, whether it be competitive. Obviously, we've got SI coming up in 2 weeks. I think it starts like 2-3 weeks at this point. It's crazy how quickly it's coming. But if this show can kind of act as that bridge between communities, or the portal between worlds, then that's really all I can ask for. We didn't start this show. Troy and I didn't start this show to look for plaudits or praise or anything along those lines. We started because we were bored and we were in lockdown and we just wanted to talk about the game and have something to do. And you know, it won't be as easy for us to record the show if it is live, but all three of us stream. It is possible for all three of us to broadcast the show live at the exact same time with shared chat and we could potentially bring that back, but that's something that will go down the line because, as you can see, even our overlay is still a work in progress. We will be fine-tuning things as we go on, and I'm taking a second to thank the artist that commissioned this. He is the same guy who has been working with us since the very beginning. He did the very first overlay for us. He did our original logo when we were still going to be called PostPlant. His name is Candor. If you don't follow him on any platforms, you can find him. It's usually Candor on Twitter. It's just Caandor. He does exceptional work. He's done a lot of the trading cards that you've seen as well that get shared on social media. He's done it for Counter-Strike. He's done it for Rainbow Six. I think he's doing stuff with Marathon right now. If you are looking for somebody who is a tireless worker, who will go through as many inane revisions as you need, because believe you me, I'm a revision guy. He is excellent. He does great work. He does it quickly. Pay him well. He is worth every single penny. Big ups to Candor. Thank you for your continued support, because he's been with us since the very beginning. And when we got this show, we made it a priority to bring him on in some capacity so that he can still be involved, because you do right by your people. That's really all you can do. Now, anything else that we want to look back on? Any more talking points about 6-on-6, or is it time for us to turn our sights to the topics of the day?
That's all that you can do, or can do.
There's an Andor joke in there somewhere from
Wow.
Star Wars.
Wow.
Probably. Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Okay.
Wow. That's all I think that's a perfect transition.
Well, there you go. The big thing that everybody's going to want to talk about, that Fett actually was like, Parker, you're an unk. Everybody's already talked about this. You are so 2000 and late. Is the UBI hack. I know it was talked to death. It happened a couple weeks ago. For people who didn't see, the game was down for a period of time. Absolutely everything imploded. Basically, for those who weren't in the loop, and I have to question where you have been if this is the first you were hearing about it. Basically, there was a vulnerability in some capacity that was exploited. Nothing really terrible seemed to happen. A bunch of people got like gajillions of credits. Like quite literally, like millions of dollars of R6 credits were given out for free. The marketplace crashed immediately. They were sending funny messages. Like, you know how the ban ticker comes up at the top? It will say like, never has been banned, gonna has been banned, give has been banned, you has been banned, up. You just got verbally rickrolled on our show, which I didn't think would ever happen. But anyway, it was very funny, a lot of what they did. I don't work for Ubisoft, so my holiday wasn't ruined by it. And I was doing family stuff, so I wasn't even playing the game. But obviously it showed a serious issue, and the marketplace is still down to this day. It took a couple days for it to rebound. I'm not a tech expert, and I think it'd be very foolish for me to talk about the technical end of this because I don't know what happened. But I'm assuming you guys, since you've streamed and you've done content, I don't know if you've posted videos on your respective YouTube channels, but if you've already talked about it, just give me a quick rehash, because this is only gonna be about a 2-hour episode. Let's just cut through it very quickly, because none of us are tech experts. As far as I'm aware, none of us are hackers. So we're not speaking from experience here, unless we are and sound off.
Yeah, I made a video on it. Mint, did you want to? Yeah,
Mint did not make a video.
Well,
Red
everyone
Farm.
everyone and their mother made a video about it, and then everyone and their mother made a video about it again when it got hacked again, except for me because I was too lazy to. But essentially, what I gathered from Twitter. Now, obviously, all of this might not be true, but yeah, apparently the hackers got access to an exploit onto something that Rainbow Six Services was hosted on. So the
There's MongoDB, right? It was like a database platform or something.
I heard
like
that wasn't real either. So I'm not gonna say that. But I don't know. Like, there's so much shit like that might not be real. But yes, supposedly it was MongoDB. I heard that that's not real now. Apparently the newest news is that's not real. That being said, because they were able to get in, they were able to interface with multiple parts of Siege, namely the currency, the ban ticker, and the big banner at the top of the screen. And obviously these cheaters used it to, or whatever, the hackers use it to, inject a bunch of currency and then display messages. Now, they also use it to ban people. So like they banned like all content creators. I don't know how I didn't get banned, but people were getting banned.
I didn't either. We're not enough. We're not big enough.
We're not.
Did you get banned?
Nope.
We don't matter enough.
Either they're fans of ours, or we're not even on their radar.
Fries. We're small fries. That being said, I somehow avoided it. Like, I didn't play Siege at all during that time, which was like great. But it always happened like these types of hacks always happen during the holidays because that's usually when all the employees of said big companies are off, right? Like they're taking their time off. There's no one there to band-aid or patch the wound. So whenever you see Xbox servers go down at Christmas, that's always why it happens. That being said, there was like all these rumors about like 3 or 4 different groups gaining access using one another as like a distraction to get access to Siege shit. And then one of the biggest things that was a concern was that what happened to user data and particularly game code. I think Ubisoft assured us that no user data was leaked. All our passwords and information were completely safe. However, there was a big concern that like all Ubisoft source code for all their games and everything since like 1990 or whatever the fuck got like leaked basically, and it's like they have it and they were using it to get a ransom Ubisoft, and the cheaters were basically supposedly demanding that they unban the unfair TOS ban wave that they did prior to that for all the people who had bought their accounts. This is a whole other video that I made, by the way. They were saying that was
you have
unfair.
homework to do, viewers.
Yeah,
you go watch Fet's videos.
Point being, and quick divulge, is basically there was a huge TOS breach ban wave. It was for all the people that 1, smurfed, 2, had like a couple games association with banned accounts on their encounters list, and 3, for people who bought their account for like a skin or something. Because for those personally, I think that's all good stuff because that all targets cheaters, and it was all in the TOS in the first place to say you're not supposed to buy accounts and you're not supposed to play with cheaters basically a lot of times in a row. That was all like in the TOS already. So, but I think that the hackers thought that was not fair, which also is a fair point of view, especially if you bought your account 5 years ago for the Glacier skin, you completely forgot about it, and then all of a sudden you log on and your account's gone. Yeah. Right, that feels a bit unfair. So they were basically, I think the whole story was they were using that as ransom, but then Ubisoft didn't really budge because maybe apparently apparently it wasn't real that they had source code. And then after that, the hackers did it again, like a couple days after it, using the same exploit again, I think. And then after that, again, there was like another hack where they were essentially just people figured out an exploit to start like DDoSing people's lobbies based off them hitting tab. So that was like the 3 big cheat hack events that happened over the course of it all. That being said, I want to applaud Ubisoft on one particular thing because they backed up the game pretty fast. Like we got reverted to a point in the game where it was playable again and no one had all the new skins. And I know some people are still fucked over, like because you can't be perfect, but it is like standard. It's bad practice, but it's standard practice for a lot of big game companies to not have backups of their game on hand. Ubisoft were able to generate one out of thin air, essentially, and just revert to that version and kind of fix everything like 90% to what it was before the hack happened, which I think that was very impressive. And they were able to recover pretty fast, which I applaud them for. Like you got to understand, there's people behind this who came off holiday, came back, and scrambled to get everything back online, and I think it was good. I think the big mass sentiment now in the community is that the rewards for like what you suffered and what you're maybe missing out on, the rewards for the servers being down maybe wasn't as good as it was back then, and people are disappointed with the rewards. But other than that, that's my wall-to-wall coverage. I'm sorry if I took too long there to summarize it all. But that's the summary. That's the ChatGPT summary, the FetGPT summary.
I was literally just reading an article earlier today about how NVIDIA is supposedly going to be ending production of 5070s because there's not enough RAM going around because it's getting gobbled up by AI data centers. So I was like, we're not AI people. If you want, by the way, we have the feedback investigated post that was put up by Rainbow Six. We can put it up on your screen right now. Basically, it outlines what they've done since this hack has happened. The first point is going to be account rollbacks. So it says progress on account rollbacks is going well. Our teams are still working to resolve accounts with inaccurate currency values or inventories. Personally, I just leave it. No, I absolutely had 10 billion Rainbow Six credits. I think you should just leave them. We'll provide another update once the process is complete. Marketplace remains offline for security reasons and will only return later in year 11. Now, I'm going to pause here just for 1 second. If anybody's ever played a game like Grand Theft Auto, when you play GTA Online, people are going to be running around, rage hacking, rage cheating. They're going to be spawning vehicles in. Literally, I was playing with a bunch of friends once and I got turned into a Ferris wheel. Like, I'm not even a person anymore. I'm just a Ferris wheel. And it's like, it's funny, but it's like those people will run around for months and nothing will happen. But God forbid you spawn into a single lobby where somebody is just dropping in-game money on you and you will get banned immediately. And I mean, it stands to reason that the moment that the money is affected, they will act quicker. So the marketplace being down because basically everybody getting a whole bunch of currency and people then started spending that money on the marketplace and it completely crashed the marketplace. Ubisoft keeping that down for quite some time is very interesting to me. I have long been a proponent of no marketplaces. I don't like the idea behind skin gambling. I don't like the idea behind a lot of that stuff. I don't like being able to sell it on a secondary market. But whatever, I've lost that fight. And I know that I'm offside with a lot of gamers. Some of you watching are going to be like, oh, shut up. I like doing that. Okay, that's fine. But it's like, I do find it very revealing that they've been pretty quick to fix a lot of things. But that one is going to take a little bit longer. And I do wonder if it's because they are worried about the financial aspect of it. Because Ubisoft obviously gets a cut of every transaction that goes on the marketplace. They recoup some of that R6 credit that's been spent. So go figure that they're going to be a little bit more protective of that. And then the last point on it is compensation. That from January 16th to January 25th, which very squarely puts you in this window. We are filming this show on January 15th. So when you watch this, it will not be January 15th. As a thank you for the patience over the holiday period, any player who logs in between January 16th and January 25th will receive 4 times the Battle Pass experience, 10 Battle Pass levels, and then if they miss the daily rewards, they will get a Delta Pack, an Alpha Pack, the Auric Mold weapon skin for the P10C. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have finished the Battle Pass. So, like, this doesn't do anything for me. Now, unless we want to keep talking about the hack for a second here, I think this is a good time for us to turn towards the compensation aspect of it, because there is a very good argument that I think can be made whether developers even need to give you something when the game goes down. And whenever this happens, the game goes down for a couple hours, the game is down for a day, there's, Amazon Web Service or whatever shuts down a website, and then whatever company comes back and tries to give stuff to people. I understand that your time is precious and you want to play your game. And I understand that there's really no harm in giving this stuff away. Giving everybody an alpha pack for, a 3-hour outages, whatever, who fucking cares? But do you think that the compensation they gave is enough? And if not, what is suitable compensation? Or the other bend would be, do you even think they need to give some compensation at all?
Mint.
That's a great question. Honestly, something I am not expecting, maybe because I'm older and I feel like, COD servers go down and we got crap back then. But nowadays, you are right. Battle.net goes down or something. Battle.net also gets hacked a good amount. And I think it also did around Christmas time as well. And whenever I think WoW actually, as a WoW gamer, I think one of their patches was supposed to be a 24-hour patch and it turned into like a 48-hour patch. And they gave all of them game time because, you got to pay monthly for games like that. So I know that's definitely a thing, but for Siege, I was not even expecting anything. Alpha packs, you're right, are not really doing much. I could care less about alpha packs and a P10C. Isn't that am I wrong? Isn't that like the pistol? The pistol with
I
the
think
sight?
that's the Jaeger pistol, right?
The
The one they just gave
new
Jaeger.
One? Yeah. That's
pretty,
okay. That's what I was.
It's pretty not good looking the skin.
I could care less. Do I think they probably should have given more? The game was down for quite a while. And also, Fett, thank you so much for that, for being on the show and being able to say what you said. I didn't follow any of that during Christmas time. I was hanging out with family. I was worried. I will say I was very, very worried because I thought I was going to have no job when I go back. Like, the game's dead. The game's dead. Like, we're not going to get access to the game, or people are going to be fed up and not play the game because of all these hacker problems. That I was definitely worried for the esports scene. I'm not going to lie. So the fact that Ubisoft
I was a
able to
little
get it
worried
under
as well. I'm
control-
glad you're saying that.
Yeah. So probably, compensation probably is good because you want to bring your players back. Like, please come play the game. Please come play Siege, please. So in that case, give more, man. Give them some goddamn more alpha packs if that's what it takes to get people on the game. I don't care. It's just cosmetics at the end of the day. But that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it's in a rough spot where it's like, there's games that don't give compensation, and if you do get compensation, then it has to be good compensation, or people will still complain about it. In this case, if you just look for it, like, because I think a lot of the creators, now I didn't play back then, or I don't remember, people said compensation used to be a lot better. That was the number one point, is that compensation back then. I don't remember what compensation back then was, so I can't really speak on this. That being said, like you said, The issues I had with this one is it felt like it was like a barrier to entry for this compensation, and it only applied to like a specific portion of the player base, right? Like Battle Pass XP and Battle Pass levels do not apply to people who have one, finished the Battle Pass, or two, have not bought the Battle Pass. Right? It's like if you didn't buy the Battle Pass, you get like 7x less less cool rewards basically for whatever. And then the Delta Pack and Alpha Pack were good. The Auric mold skin I think is not the prettiest skin, so I don't think it's that cool. But that being said, like yeah, I guess it would have been cool to see like a fuck ton of renown or like 4 free operators, randomly like operator packs that just like if you already have the operator just gives you like 25,000 renown.
Yeah.
I think that's like a pretty universally decent reward. I thought it was also interesting what you said about the skin marketplace, how you don't support it. One of my points that I made in my video actually during the ban wave was like, so what's the issue with the ban wave? Like, let's break it down. What was the issue people had with the ban wave of people buying accounts for skins? Okay, it's that people weren't cheating. They weren't buying the accounts to cheat. Even though you're not supposed to do it, they were doing it just to get cool skins. And people want to sell their R6 account that they work so hard for monetary compensation. One of my points was that, hey, if R6 could somehow, some way, and I know this is very unrealistic, if it could somehow get onto the Steam marketplace, we don't have that issue anymore, right? Because then people could, the whole idea is that people want to be able to sell their R6 account for money because they put 5,000 hours into it and they want to get rid of these skins and get compensation out of it. If we could get, and the issue with the R6 marketplace is that it's not for real money. Like, you can buy with real money, and that's what Ubisoft gets, but you can't sell for real money. You sell for R6 credits. So I was thinking like one of my suggestions was like, if there's somehow some way we can get on the Steam marketplace for skins, then we bypass that problem and that people will start selling skins for real money. And then basically now if we crack down on people who buy accounts, then it's like there's way less people that are innocently buying accounts and you're actually hitting your target demographic of people maliciously buying accounts to cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat. We disagree on that actually. I think more marketplace the merrier, I guess.
I completely agree with your perspective. Like I think if you make it so that people can do things that they are gonna do, like if you give people avenues to do something in like a legal or safe or convenient way, they're gonna do that. What did they say they said this about piracy ages ago. Like, people download movies because it's the easiest way to do it. If you give people a way to conveniently watch movies on demand, they will abandon piracy. And we did see that, right? Like, after Netflix launched and stuff started getting put online, you saw the rate of piracy go way down. Guess what? Now Netflix has cracked down on password sharing, the cost of streaming services is going up, and suddenly piracy is something that my normie friends, who I haven't heard them say the words piracy, like pretty much ever, are now starting to talk about it again because it's like a service issue, right? And it's the same thing too. Like, if you really want a great skin, people are going to go to great lengths to either hack, cheat, or steal. If you make it so that there's like a legitimate way to get it, then that's great. The issue I have with marketplaces is that it's very much, in my eyes, it allows people to profit off of things that they acquire largely by gambling, right? Like, I don't love the idea of loot boxes. I don't love the idea of like these packs that you open up that give you a chance of getting something. I think in a lot of ways it's often anti-consumer. It's gambling. That's all it is. It's like you rip open a pack, you get that you get that rush. And you're like, oh my God, what did I get? Oh my God, it's purple. Is it black ice? Is it black ice? No, it's a shitty gun skin that I already have. But it's like people are going to gamble on this stuff and then turn around and sell it. And I would much rather just have stuff be available at all times for people to be able to purchase. But there's a reason why a lot of storefronts rotate stuff in and out. It's because they want you to buy it right then and there. They don't want it to be persistent. They want you to feel FOMO. They want you to get it. If there's a marketplace, people are going to try to sell stuff. All of a sudden, the value is going to fluctuate. Certain things on the marketplace are crazy cheap. Certain things are crazy expensive. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place with it. I acknowledge that there are pros to it. But I also don't love that people will deliberately go around and spend a lot of money on skins, then gatekeep them and say, like, well, look at all my skins. And I actually tweeted this. Let me see if I can find the tweet. So there was a lot of pushback, which I don't actually think we really talked about this one either, because God, we've been gone for a while. In like that month of 10 years of Rainbow Six Siege, they were giving things every day. They were giving people like alpha packs, and people kept getting upset. And they're like, wow, another alpha pack. Look, I think there's an awful lot Ubisoft could have done for the 10-year anniversary of Siege. I think they could have done way more. I think that the game mode was a lot of fun. I think like the change to house was quite enjoyable. I thought all that stuff was really, really neat. But the one thing that I've always said is bring back old skins that you can't get anymore. When I stream, I run the Crossfader skin on Bandit and a lot of other guns. And people will say like, holy shit, that's a cool skin. Where did you get it? And I'm like, I got it in Velvet Shell. So unless you have a time machine to go back to 2017 or you buy it on the marketplace, you're not going to get it. My thing was for the 10-year anniversary of Siege, bring back everything. Bring back every single skin and sell them so that Ubisoft can make money off of it. Yeah, it's going to crash the marketplace, and people who've been hanging on to these skins, hoping to profit off them for a while, are going to lose their shirts. But skins are for wearing. They're not for profiting off of. Like, nobody cares that you've had the skin for 10 years. Get a job, which I think is verbatim what I said in my tweet. So I'm all over the place on it. I like marketplaces sometimes because if there's a cool skin I want, I can get it through a marketplace. But I also acknowledge that there's gambling aspects to it, and it works very synergistically. I don't even know if that's a word. Maybe I'm the one who needs to learn English. With opening packs. So ultimately not a huge fan. Mint, have you bought anything off the marketplace? I've never even used the R6 marketplace, by the way. So
I have. I mean, you know, I'm that 10-year-old veteran that's got basically all that old good stuff, the Glacier, the Black Ice, everything. I go back and forth on it, but I feel like I feel like gaming is all about the dopamine, right? That's all we care about. We want that good dopamine. And if that's what gambling does, opening cases in CS, absolutely love it. I talked about this with Pojo, man, a long time ago. He's a huge Dota fan, and I was always a fan of the way Dota does it with like a special event loot box that you basically buy to crowdfund the tournament, and that's how Dota gets up to like 20+ million or whatever it is for esport tournaments.
Cool, yeah.
Like why would they never do that for esport packs where it's just like special event esport and you can support the tournament? And I think they might have actually. I think they might have done that more recently or something or whatever, but the limited edition kind of things. And at this point in the game, I don't like using Black Ice anymore. People love it. I do wish I could kind of sell it for some money so I can get some recoup on it for playing for this long. But as far as like actually using the marketplace, I do, because there's a lot of cool skins that you can't get that are legendaries or whatever in the alpha packs. I didn't know, like, I'm a Blitz player and I didn't know that there's a bunch of cool skins. The thing is, like, when you're a pro player or whatever, like, or you're playing competitive, you can't use these skins. So it's like, I never really looked at it or cared. And I do wish, and we talked about this on another episode, that there was like some kind of setting or some kind of loadout system that we could literally, when we're queuing ranked, it's like a separate, we can run, because I would have loved to buy skins and run around with some goofy Rick and Morty styles of stuff, or I'm a rat smoke. No, you don't like that? Well, whatever advantage I can get.
There are a few things in Rainbow Six that bring me as much joy as headshotting a Rick and Morty Doc skin. I'll eat that shit up, man. Like your giant fucking stupid balloon head, pop. Like goodbye. Like.
No, yeah, I mean I don't know, it's funny. It's funny just to run around with some of these goofy skins because people are very split on the this game's supposed to be very realistic versus it's not realistic at all. And we've definitely crossed the line now. Obviously, I'm running around as Homelander on my ace, which is a ton of fun. But
dude, I just got killed by Chun-Li. What game is this? Like,
oh man. But yeah, I think I've just gotten to the point where gambling is like almost it's bad. I will never ever condone it myself, but it's almost like this just necessary evil. So for context, basically there's esports that ban gambling sponsors and there's esports that don't ban gambling sponsors.
We ban it for the record. Rainbow Six has it banned. That's why you'll see every now and then like jerseys will have tape over it. A lot of times it's because of gambling and crypto. Yeah.
Yeah, and I respect the hell out of Ubisoft for that. But that being said, T1, which is the organization and league that won Worlds 6 times, the most successful esports organization, I think I can confidently say in history, right? They have like a big org board meeting across multiple esports orgs, and their CEO or like whoever their big dog literally said, there's no sustainable path forward, and we have to find one other than gambling sponsors right now. And they don't like gambling sponsors because Riot bans it. But that being said, that's literally like the only thing that currently supports it. Because they're paying that motherfucker Faker on like million like fucking contract every year because Faker's worth $1 million. Not to mention the players around him are also worth like $1 million, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And then every year they throw that money at them, and then they have to recoup that from sponsorships. You think people are buying like hundreds of thousands of dollars? Like they might buy one player's contract a year's worth of merch total, right? Like the most successful R6 share program ever is equal to like, let me calculate, is equal to like 3 to 4 years of the most expensive R6 player's contract ever. One player, right? Obviously the most expensive one. But that being said, like that is so for me, I've just it's a necessary evil at this point. Like it pisses me off too, Parker. But at the end of the day, I'm just like I would love, like that's why I really want orgs to succeed. Like I've had a couple orgs approach me for coaching, and I said I can't coach you. I'm not going to compete anymore. And you know, and then they'll be like, okay, can we bring you on as an advisor? And how much would you cost? And I often find myself going like, you know what? I'll just give you advice for free, because I want you to do well. I want these big names to get into Siege, to do well, to want to stay here long term. I want the expansion into China to do so well. Because that means my friends get paid more. That means my like Mint gets more viewers. That means Parker gets more gigs, even though Parker's never gonna run out of gigs because he's way more established than I am. But you know what I mean? Like all my new friends.
Hey, I missed Reload.
Yeah. Oh shit, you missed.
I missed Reload.
Oh shit. Wait, is this news? Is this juice?
Is it juice that I didn't work an event in May of last year?
I don't know. Well, I mean, did you? Okay, my prime.
I didn't work Reload. Reload was the Rio event in May of last year.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm just saying that I've missed gigs too. I understand your point. I'm just saying I didn't work all the minors either. Like there was OJ Pitt. I didn't work DreamHack Valencia. There's a lot of stuff I haven't worked. I'm just going to tell you this. I appreciate that you work from the bottom of your heart, but you should always charge for this work, because it ends up as like a race to the bottom where you might be comfortable giving that advice for free. But now imagine they come to Mint looking for advice, and now they have nothing to pay Mint because they're like, well, Fett gave it to us for free.
True.
Always important. And I say this to everybody who's watching this show. It's always important that you ask for your worth and your value, right? Like there have been casters in Rainbow Six who've quite literally been blacklisted because like amateur casters that were on the ascendancy and literally would message Ubisoft and be like, hey, so like I see you're putting together like a list for SI. Like I just want to let you know, like you don't need to pay me as much. I'd just love to work it because it's fun. And Ubisoft has quite literally blacklisted them. So it's like they take that stuff very, very seriously. If you try to like undercut other talent and stuff, it ends up being a race to the bottom. And I agree with you completely. Like, look, I mean, I've been outspoken about what I think of EWC and Saudi Arabian investment in this esport. I've been very outspoken about like crypto. I've been outspoken about AI and gambling and stuff. And it's like, if you try to watch like any sports on TV nowadays, get ready for Gambling the Show featuring a sport, right? Like that's all it is. It's like every single ad is some sports book, some sports bettor, some gambling thing. And it's like, we'll have friends over and it's like, we're watching UFC on the TV. And 3 of my buddies who are as normal as they come will be like, oh, fuck, I didn't hit my parlay today. And I'm like, how much money are you just spending idly on gambling? And they're like, oh, I put down like $20. And I'm like, for funsies, like gambling is really insidious. Like I don't care what people do with their own money for the most part, but it's like, man, like gambling is just like, it's bad. It's so addicting. It's like, anyway, I get where you're coming from. And I like, it's the same thing, right? It's a necessary evil. Like most esports orgs are not profitable. Like you can't recoup the salaries. You struggle to recoup like costs, operational costs, etc. Something's going to break. And the big thing is that a lot of esports orgs are they're part of a larger portfolio where they're the loss leader. Like they are designed to lose money because the idea is that you get people into your ecosystem who will spend money elsewhere, or that's the goal. The problem is that venture capital propped up so many esports orgs during the COVID years because everybody was at home consuming esports and gaming content, that when real life and normalcy returned and people stopped, there was no more money to go. And of course, line always has to go up. So the fact that the line didn't go up that's, bad. And it's just like, it sucks because if you are somebody who, and I don't mean this to be offensive because I know people are going to take issue with this and I already see it coming. But it's like, if you really care about a lot of this stuff, it is very hard to consume a lot of entertainment these days without thinking it's been co-opted by just the worst companies humanly possible. Gambling companies, drug companies, alcohol companies, back in the day, it used to be alcohol and tobacco, etc. There's always been a trade-off that's been had where you have to like support some style of sin to get the stuff you want, because that's where the money goes. And it's defeating, of course, but it's like, there's some stuff obviously I care about more than others. There's like, if people want to gamble, like that's fine. Like obviously I hate AI. I think crypto's dork shit, but like people fucking love that stuff and eat it up. So it's like, if they want to go like gamble on Bitcoin or whatever, like go ahead, like that stuff doesn't bother me. But I do get a little bit frustrated with how pervasive gambling is.
Canada have do you have a lottery?
We do. We have a lottery up here, of course.
You
We have
you
I think it's all
playing it?
provincial.
You playing it?
No.
Okay. I was just
Why?
saying, it's gambling.
Of course it is. The lottery, of course, is gambling.
People are addicted to that.
My mom loves to give people in their Christmas cards. She loves to give people just a lottery, like a little like scratch lottery ticket that costs like $1. That's it. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like, ooh, like, oh, I almost made $100,000. Then you're like,
Yeah.
I got a dirty sock, like, like it is fun. Like, don't get me wrong. Like stuff like that's really low. Like if my mom buys me like I think the one up here is called like $1,000 a week for life or something like that, where it's like you either get a big payout or you get like $1,000 every single week. It's like, yeah, like whatever. I'm sitting at like literally this happened this Christmas. Like I'm sitting at the Christmas table, like at the dinner table on Christmas morning, scratching away. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't care, but I'm not like going on like bet your money, bet your life and putting $20 down on a UFC fighter I've never heard of before. I don't know. We're still on the topic of the changes that they made. While we're in this topic, it's a good time for our first ad read. And as always, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, we want to hear about what you think of the rebrand. We want to know what you think about the name. We want feedback on just about everything. And we, like I said, I read the comments every single time. Some comments are really, really good. Some are super low effort. Some read like they've just been written by ChatGPT, and I just kind of roll my eyes and move on. But while we want to hear from you, if you want to hear, have you heard of Raycon? That's our first sponsor for the video. And of course, this message is sponsored by Raycon. And I can say with all confidence now, they've sent me 3 different types of headphones, and I've tried them all. One don't fit my ears, like one set will not fit my ears, but the other 2 fit, and they're great. They're good for they're great for their price point. They last a long time. Like they're super durable. Like I quite like them. And I gave a pair to my dad, and I said, "What do you think of this? Try them." And he likes them, and now he uses them. So thank you very much, Raycon. And my dad's a big fan. So I use Raycon products. I encourage people to buy Raycon products. And a specific product about the everyday earbuds classic. They're here to help you crush your New Year's goals. Raycon audio products are having a site-wide sale this January. Go to buyraycon.com/6SIX to get 20% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/6. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring our podcast, as they have since basically the beginning at this point. Now while we're waiting for the commenters to flood in, because this is not live, persistent issues were announced by Ubisoft as part of their feedback being investigated, and that's literally what this part calls, and it'll be on your screen in just a second here for those that are using the visual component. And there's 3 headers. Synchronization error, which is, I don't know if you guys have been streaming and you have people pop into your chat and be like, my game won't sync, what do I do? And we've always been largely powerless to solve the issue. It says that they deployed a fix, and they're still working to fix all the other nagging issues. The second point is the biggest one for me. This is the voice chat issue. So Ubisoft says our teams have identified several issues impacting voice chat for players. We have since deployed fixes for some, while others require further investigating. Our teams are working hard to reach a full resolution. In the meantime, workarounds are available via R6 Fix, which you can find linked in this thread. Now, for people who don't know what this is, basically, you just launched the game and you are incapable of talking to your teammates, and you cannot hear them either. And a lot of times it will show visually when you press tab or you show your scoreboard as the mic with an X through it or a little line through it. A lot of people don't know that they're experiencing this. They just think that they're in a lobby full of mutes and that nobody is speaking. And the part is that I can deal with them not being able to talk back, because I'm going to be honest, a lot of people who communicate in this game, I wish I didn't have to hear them. But it's more about that they can't hear me. So there have been times where it's like we're in a 1v1 and I played a Valk and there's a Valk cam up and the Valk cam literally can see the opponent. And I'm like, mute, there's one on your left. There's one on your left. And the guy's just like, oh, it's fun to play this game, because he can't hear me. And then he gets killed. And then he's like, where are my pings? And I'm like, I was trying to talk to you. Can you not hear me? And he's like, no. This has been a persistent issue for the last couple months, and it has made solo queue such a miserable experience. I don't know if you two have had to deal with it, but this is genuinely one of the most frustrating bugs that I've had to deal with in this game since I started playing, and it's driving me insane.
I mean, I was just gonna say, is that not like just like a normal ranked game? No one used their microphones, or because that's my normal ranked experience. I mean, is that wrong?
I'm a yapper, dude. I yap. They yap back.
That's great.
There are lobbies that yap and talk, and they're rare, but I mean, I'm fully with you, Parker. I started a series where I've been teaching my IRL Siege from scratch, and it's been some of the most fun I've ever had. I don't find dopamine in playing normal ranked anymore. I find dopamine in teaching my friends how to play the game like completely from brand new, and they'll be typing to our randoms on our team or the enemy team, and they'll be like, "This bitch was a flag for being offensive. What the fuck?" You know. And it will be like the most innocent message ever. And speaking on that, like forward to the voice message issues, I think it's frustrating for me because I see other systems, particularly other system in other game working. League of Legends recently implemented a system that like literally cancels a match if they detect a person with like malintent to like throw the game. So like there's a like video.
It's in a lobby, right?
Yeah. There's a video of a guy going like I play this guy or I run it down, and then he doesn't play the guy, locks another champion, and someone goes like, "So are you like throwing the game?" And he goes, "Yeah," and then the lobby disintegrates, and it's like, oh my god, that's what it's supposed to be.
Does the guy's computer explode as well? Because I feel like that would be a really suitable punishment for fucking dork ass losers who do that shit.
Oh my
Get
god.
a fucking job, you wiener baby. Like, what is wrong with you? Sorry.
No,
Keep going.
That's for sure. But
then gamers argue that that's invasive. Gamers then argue like, oh, like look at the whole people who are like, I don't want a kernel level anti-cheat. I don't want them having that much access to my computer. And it's like, I can kind of understand the desire to want that to be a way, but it's like, if cheating is getting to the point where that's a necessity, what are we to do?
Yeah. By the way, for the viewers out there that are uneducated, because I was also uneducated, BattlEye is kernel level.
So that's not correct. So BattlEye has a kernel level anti-cheat. The one that Siege has, Shield Guard, is not.
Oh, but BattlEye, like there is kernel level BattlEye in Siege, is what I was told by a Siege person.
If a Siege person who has intimate knowledge of it is telling you this, then that overrules anything I can say. Because the cursory reading that I've done is that Shield Guard, which is now like the proprietary anti-cheat that is used by Rainbow Six, as far as I've been told, is not kernel level. It does not require the whatever smart boot or whatever the hell the thing is that made people that played Battlefield 6 have brain aneurysms.
Yeah, my understanding is that Shield Guard is like an addition to Siege.
Could be.
Outside of BattlEye, like, but the BattlEye team is like a separate team that like tries to like track down a specific cheat and like a specific signature of said specific cheat, and then mass bandwave that. Shield Guard is like everything outside of that, from like I think the stat ban algorithm to like other things to other things to other things. I think it's different. June 2025 BattlEye with kernel level. Yeah, I have no idea. Either way,
I love being wrong.
No,
Call me wrong.
I have no idea either. I don't know. I'll figure out more, I guess, if I get to talk to more people. Maybe, yeah. But that being said,
maybe there might be some people who might know a thing or two about the anti-cheat who might join us at some point. Of course,
dude,
this is very early to announce. And
I almost teased at it, and then I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this."
Sprinkle little things that might or might not happen. I mean, if people go back and rewatch like the last like 4 episodes of the show, like there's little hints there that we were rebranding. They were just very subtle. So
yeah. Point being, like, my point isn't like, oh, is too invasive or not. My point is like, that's supposed to be what the goal of it is. You know, that's supposed to be what voice chat regulation, the goal. That's the goal, to like stop someone from God damn it ruining your game, not to stop people from talking. Period.
Can
Right,
we
so-
just insta ban my teammates that play Amaru?
Well, I play Amaru.
Wait, what's wrong
I
with
just see an
Amaru?
Amaru. I see that it's like we're losing 2-3, and then my teammate locks in an Amaru, and I'm just like 2-4 it is. We'll go next. Like,
Wow.
whoop, whoop. Just like, it's like okay, 4v5. We talked about this on a previous show though, Fat, where we said like we hate the AI detection. We assume it's AI, of course. We hate the AI detection for voice chat. And I mean, my tweet went semi-viral recently about the gay show thing, where I was like, it interpreted me saying she's still gay. And I got a voice chat warning about it, which objectively very funny, but I'm like,
I use that example everywhere. I pull up your screen, like your screenshot, and literally every time I talk about it, I'm like, dude, this is like hilarious.
I think I want somebody to fact check me on this one, and I do want to take I want to glaze myself just a tiny bit before we get back to reality here. Water is water was something I said on stream in game when I was playing this game like months and months and months ago. Right when the first chat detection came in, I typed like water is water, and I got like message could not be sent, and I was like, what is going on here? And now I see on Twitter, I see on Reddit, I see all these comments of whenever it comes up, people type like water is water. And I'm like, did I start that? Like I had never seen it before that. I still don't see it. Like I don't see it part of like anybody's, it's not like Spoit started it and it's like a part of his thing. Like I'm like, man, was I the first that did water is water? Like, and that got, for people who don't know, if you try to type water is water into Rainbow Six Siege, it flags it as offensive. I don't understand. People were like, well, what about SWAT? But then you can literally type SWAT like SWAT and it works fine. And you're like,
yeah,
maybe I'm just too toxic.
Something happened in my game where someone was like, someone called someone like obese, like useless fuck or something, and that didn't get flagged. And then my friend said something like completely innocent, and it got flagged. Oh, you also can't say hi fet or like any form. You can say just fet, like, but you can't address me in any sort of way. I'm unaddressable because I think it's fet. Fet means fat in German or something. So like, I'm literally, you can't say hi fet. You can't say what's up fet. You can't say I love you fet. Unaddressable.
Is
But
it
your
the
chat-
same in
but-
custom games?
What? Sorry.
Like they're monitoring like custom games as well, right? Like pro league
Are they?
games, things
Really?
like that. Are they? No, I'm just wondering. Are
I have
they,
no
or is it
idea.
just like ranked matches? Because some of the stuff I'm seeing in chat against me in custom, or like in pro league.
So
Yeah.
I will hop in here for a second and say all chat logs, as far as I have been told, all chat logs are treated the same. They don't see who it's to. So like literally if you just keep, like if you're duo queued and you just like every day, you're just like, Mint, you fucking fat, stupid bitch. And I just say that in every single game. They like in custom games, they could flag that. And apparently, if you remember when Skies and Laxing got banned like 9 years ago, and yeah, for people who are new, they forget that Skies and Laxing both got their accounts banned, their original accounts. It was apparently because of terrible shit they were saying to people in scrims in custom games. So like be mindful that any single thing you type into chat, as far as I'm aware, Ubisoft can see that every single thing, and they can search it. They can literally like pull up like Mint's logs, like they can be like Control F N-word, and then like see if it like pops up, right? Like they can do that.
Yeah.
So it's like just be mindful that like they can search your logs and find stuff very, very quickly, and everything is stored. So just even if you're joking around with friends, just exercise some caution. I'll say.
And then, yeah, I mean, my take's still the same. Just ban all the hard slurs, and that's it. Don't need to do
Yeah,
anything else.
like fat. You don't want to call people
Yeah,
fat
you
in
don't wanna
German.
call
It's
people
really
fat.
hurtful. Am I fat
I agree with
Hagrid
that.
then, according to your chat? Because they all call me fat Hagrid for like 20 minutes.
I have a perfect segue, by the way, if we're end of this topic.
About Hagrid or
No,
About being fat or
no,
like what?
about toxic chats, because I think one of the
Do it.
LCQ. All right, well, I think one of the
Okay.
LCQ
Mid's firing
games.
up. Mid's like, let's go.
Oh yeah, I think one of the LCQ games that happened recently this weekend might have been the most chat-heavy Pro League game I personally have ever seen. I'm not that historically inclined if there were any crazy ones before, but it was toxic, and it was like usually you go into these games and you mute the other team. Right? That's like the standard. Both these teams don't mute the other team, so it was crazy. Let's talk about it. If we don't have an ad read, that I will now ask Intero whether or not we have another ad read.
We do. We have one more ad read. We have Mint Mobile, but I mean, we got time. There's no
Okay.
rush to have it. We'll leave it for a little bit later if you want.
Okay. Yeah. And okay, well, I'll just go ahead and get into it. Like, speaking of chat moderation, OXG versus Dark Zero should have been chat moderated. Oh my god. Let's get straight into the juice. LCQs happened recently this past weekend for NA and EU, right? Just NA and EU, man? So
yeah,
far?
Brazil's this weekend coming up. and
Brazil's
APAC
this
as well.
weekend. Okay. What is
APAC
LCQ?
starts in like an hour from us,
Yes.
like right now. Yes.
Ooh.
So it will be APAC will be in the past when this goes live.
Let's go China. China will be in it. China first time. Let's go. I'm ready for China. Oh,
I've heard that they are number 1. Is that correct?
China's number 1. No, I think they're a bit underdeveloped right now. I'll be very pleasantly surprised if they make SI through LCQ. That being said, what is LCQ? Well, LCQ is a last chance qualifier for the 6th Invitational, the most prestigious tournament of the year. $3 million prize pool, and you have one last slot from each region you can do by playing a complete open bracket. Now, all of the teams, the pro teams that underperformed in the year that didn't have enough points, they get auto sent to that bracket. So it's like all the lower half pro teams, then a bunch of T2 teams that won T2 events, and then everyone that won through open qualifiers gets into that LCQ bracket. And that's why you see so many amateur teams, tier 2 teams, semi-pro teams, and pro teams all together in one bracket. The big news, NALCQ, let's start from there, was basically the drama storylines between almost every single game that happened. I found out during the Dark Zero OXG game that there are rumors of should a team, either of those teams not make SI, that the entire team gets blown up. Because as you know, after SI is when you can make unlimited roster moves. Between majors, you can only make 3/5 roster moves. After SI is when you can blow the entire roster up. DZ and OXG are established NA teams that don't want to miss out on the biggest event of the year. If they do, it's seen as a failure by the org and is a good excuse for them to typically, most teams will blow up their entire roster after SI and go for a rebuild. Beast Coast 2024. Bing, bang, boom. Right? So it was crazy. Like, they were throwing that at each other mid-game. On the other end, C9 versus JJ, where C9 basically got sold 2 of JJ's best players for cheap. JJ was trying to get revenge on that. That was also a pretty toxic game where someone said, I think along the lines of, are you terrified when you see a treadmill? And that didn't get flagged, by the way. So like, if we're gonna chat restrict anything, I think those were 2 games that should have been chat restricted. But I want to know, Taro, did you keep up with LCQ at all? Did you watch it?
I watched the EU LCQ. I was not able to watch all of NALCQ that went till like 4 a.m, which is honestly is quite a farce. I don't I get it, obviously, that there's commitments with other regions, but it's like one of the biggest gripes I have about this esport is that we keep it happens in APAC a lot and nobody really cares because it's APAC. Like, people just don't give a shit. But like, if they tried this in Europe, people would riot. Is like, they have them play at like 2, 3 a.m, and it's such a joke. And then like, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes it's outside of your control, but it's just like, these players should be playing at normal times a day. And there was that, I think it was the second day. I think it was the Saturday. I went crazy late, if I remember correctly. I tuned into the first OXG DZ, which was the Cloud9 OXG, I think it was. I can't remember which match it was. But anyway, I tuned into it very briefly, and it was like, I watched a bit of it, but I watched the EU one, so I'll obviously be able to talk to the EU one more. But I have a soft spot for the unbridled chaos of qualifier casts. I am actually okay with watching teams go fucking insane in the LCQs. I mean, one of the most infamous matches in the history of our esport is DZ versus 92 Dream Team, and they were crazy. The things that 92 Dream Team, admittedly not a pro team, the things that they were putting in chat were wild. And then you have like Laxing is talking about like his hydra-headed penis on the stream, and like Super made a joke about like beating a couple of his teammates. And it's like the whole point of like LCQs and stuff, at least until you get to the main in-studio broadcast, is that it is supposed to be casual. It is supposed to be a celebration and a spotlight shined on the community, whether it's community casted, whether it's community qualifiers, like it doesn't matter what it is. And it's cool, right? Like esports doesn't need to be straight laced all the time. Like, you know, one of the things that you've noticed probably across a lot of esports is we don't wear suits as much as we used to. You like go back and rewatch some of like the early days, and it's like I'm in a fucking suit in Poland every single broadcast. I will now wear a t-shirt and a cardigan on camera, and they're like, yeah, that looks good. Like we have made esports more casual to match the audience. And I think it's okay that they do that. Now, mind you, obviously, if it's like mean-spirited, if you're making like, you know, if you're saying slurs, or if you're like, if somebody doesn't like it and you're like, hey, fatty, like, good job chasing that kill. It's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe teams should get a little bit of a rap on the knuckles for that. But I don't know. I didn't see anything on social media that seemed to say it was that bad. Was it so bad? Was the shit talking too much?
It was just a lot, man.
Yeah, I just think when it starts to get personal, when we start insulting people's looks or weight or things like that, like jobs, you know, that is what the LCQ is. I mean, you touched on it with like, if you don't make SI, aka the World Championship of Siege, which is what every org is paying you a ton of money on. So DZ obviously being the favorites and making the most amount of money, had the most pressure on them after having a stinker of a year. If you don't make that, you're not playing for like, I mean, what was the roadmap? We're looking at like another 2 months, 3 months. And it's hard to justify as an org paying your players that they're not making events this amount of money, right? Like now you're talking about possibly replacing them, or possibly even like pay cuts or something, because it's a long time. It's a very big deal when you're a team that's supposed to be competing internationally. But yeah, I mean, just you're right. It is casual. I think me and Fett were having a nice casual time co-streaming. We were completely dead until
We were dead. Yeah.
I was as well. You asked me if I wanted to join, and I was like, "There's no universe."
We needed people to talk, man. We were dead. So honestly, it kind of woke us up. Like the storyline was there. That JJ Dream matchup, or Cloud9 JJ matchup, because obviously Dream and Cloud9 stealing players from JJ as well. Packer being cut from Cloud9. So there was like so many storylines and so much beef between those two. And I think that was the main one me and Fett were expecting. And then when we get to that storyline of DZ OXG, like I had no idea either about, is OXG going to get blown up? And then in a co-stream another day after or whatever, I think I had Super on, or the coach of, you know, Shopify, and we were casually talking. It's like, well, even though OXG makes SI, right? Like let's say DZ would have won that game, it makes SI. If you go to groups and just have a bad performance and you get grouped, does that really save you? Right? Like if you're in org and your team made SI and like you still didn't perform very well, like does that, you know, you still might be looking at possibly having to find another job, because you're right, after SI you can make so many changes. So people say Siege makes a lot of roster moves. I mean, look at other esports, but it's got to be crazy.
Call of Duty blows up its teams every year.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for those who didn't watch the game, the first game between DZ and OXG, it's on my YouTube channel. But the sum up what the trash talk was that basically Citizen was doing very, very well, and then OXG started making fun of the fact that NJR you're baiting, but at least when Citizen does it, he gets a bunch of kills. And then NJR was like, well, then come CC then, and like come clear me. And then it was like in-game stuff for the most part. And then they did try to clear him, and NJR got a couple kills and see like what I say. And then Adam goes, you have a terrorist on your team, by the way, which is where it got a little bit heated, referring to like, I guess, another baiter on the team. And then it started getting into like the org talk, which is like, what happens if you don't make SI? Waste of investment, ? Your team's gonna get dissolved. And then Nate fires back with like, now what happens to you guys? And then the rest of it was just Nate being British and me and Mint laughing at the fact that none of it sounds intimidating. When Nate says, you lot are finished. You're bottling it. You bottled, like they would fail, like OG would fail a take, and Nate would be like, you bottled that one. And I'm like, all right, like so yeah. But that was the extent of DZ OXG talk. I don't think it was nearly as personal as the C9 other one got. But then I think the C9 one was fired back pretty effectively because I think Aiden said something on the lines of, if you're getting personal, you've already lost mentally or something. So pretty cool responses. Either way, I thought it was entertaining because I was tired as fuck. So
Super brief interjection here. I cannot remember what qualifier cast it was. I can't remember who said it. It might have even been Hot and Cold. But I just remember we were watching, I think it was Obey Alliance when Skies was on it. And like after round 4, Skies got killed in a really stupid way and wasn't doing well. And he's like, oh, like stupid shit. I shouldn't have died to that. And the moment Skies typed in chat, I think it was Hot and Cold on the qualifier cast. Somebody can fact check me on this. Basically, he just goes, oh, Skies typing in chat. They got him. It's just like, there goes your mental. Like the moment he's like guys like that is like the moment that they start typing in chat, you know that you're under their skin. And it's like, why you care what your opponents say? Mute your opponents. I know that. Go ahead.
Sorry to interject. Really excited.
You're not.
I've never had a call to action. You know what I'm saying? Could this be a good one? Because I actually am very curious from the viewers what they think about the shit talk in Siege. Do they like it? Or do they think it's too much and not professional and stuff like that? Because I go both ways with it in Siege, where it's like, I get it from a competitor standpoint. I do think Siege is a big mental game, especially at the top level.
Yeah.
It is like all when you're making events and you're so close, like as contenders, and you're so close, like you're trying to get any mental advantage as possible. And gamers typically do have pretty weak mentals. They start chalking immediately. You'll see people like you were just saying right there with Sky and talking in chat. And what does that do? You start calming a little bit less because you're more focused on like, I have to have a big round here so I can shit talk and things like that. Like I totally get it. And then there's like the coach side of me that's like the professionalism with like, I would just tell my players to kind of turn chat off and like ignore the mental edge kind of thing, right? Where I just feel like it's like focus on ourselves, focus on the players. And I feel like it is I don't know. I think that just gives us our own edge if we don't let other people try to like get into our heads. And it also goes both ways with the pro players, because I had a conversation with Hot and Cold yesterday over dinner where he was talking about in his old age he's loving and he getting the fact that like he can talk shit. He's like, ooh, a good question mark, right? A good question mark in chat really gets people. Like it starts to like really fire people up. People hate question marks, right? We're like going after them. And then I have Super telling me Troy. Everyone knew Troy's was a big shit talker, right? But he's at that stage in his career now where he doesn't talk in chat really anymore, and he doesn't yell at people anymore. And hearing from Super where it's like, well, he knows he's a role model for a lot of kids that watch the game, right? And like he's literally the GOAT of Siege. Is it really professional for the GOAT of Siege to kind of just be talking shit when he's got a bunch of kids watching him? So I'm just kind of curious, again, what the community thinks, maybe on you guys as well. Like, I mean, is this something that is good for Siege?
I think it's fully necessary. Like I think people
You
like
think shit talking is necessary?
yes, and I think like the people will never get made happy by it, right? Like if people don't shit talk enough, it's boring, and when people shit talk, people always have an issue with it. I think shit talk to your heart's content. I think there is not enough personality that can go around. I think that my fondest memory of Canadian as a viewer is when he told the other team that he's old as fuck with the worst gun in the game and he's still shitting on them. Like I relish that moment. And I think like if people think of Charlotte's, you know, the Strawlers run at Charlotte, it's like there was infectious energy among that team when they would leap on their desks and fucking scream at each other and scream at the enemy team. Like I think
I love that Astralis team, man. I loved it.
I think there's always something to be said about the viewers wanting to connect more with the personality of the players, and there's so much more on the line. There's so much like more to root against and root for if you know that, right? Like if you look at the dichotomy of, you know, BDS or Falcons being bitter as fuck in a grand final versus whoever the fuck they're playing against who are smiling. You want to know more about that. You want to extract more from that. The fact that Ashen shit talks auto makes a villain for people to root against every single game, and it just puts that much more stake on the line. Storylines are what create esports, and frankly, as we get the more optimized esport player that just no bad press, fully respectful, fully boring, I mean, yes, that is how you be professional, and that is how you perform, and that is mostly what all the the Asian gamers in League look like now, and all the most professional gamers in CS look like now. And I get it, but it's always like super refreshing when there's like a villain, when there's a shit talk, when there's a storyline, when there's something to go down. Like I think of like the OG Smash days. I get so invested when they just beef with each other and then like money match now. You hate me? $1,000 best of 5 now, right? Like it's like it would just happen. It would just happen, and it was like it was so sick, So I don't know. I always, the more the merrier for me. I honestly, until it gets personal, like we said, there can never be enough shit talk.
I straddle the middle on this, right? I hate being a fence sitter, but I'm going to sit on the fence for a second here, and I'm just going to say that in an ideal world, the match and the gameplay and the storylines of it, that's what we talk about. But how many times do we watch stuff where it's just like the match is built up to be this, Battle of Titans, and they just kind of stink? The match doesn't live up to the billing, right? But it's like, say whatever you want. Every SSG match has more aura because a guy like Ashen is in it and he's going to go fucking nuts. Or like Newers is going to say something stupid in chat to try to rile up their opponents. Every time you see, whether it was SSG, whether it was DZ, EG, now obviously Rebellion, whenever you see Troy on stage, you're always kind of wondering, like, is he just going to fucking start yelling? Like, is he going to go off? Like, I think that there's a time and a place for it. I think in an esport like Rainbow Six, out of all the esports that exist, we tend to have a pretty bland pro scene. So watching players like Diffuser stand up and do this to a hostile crowd after getting a kill play, after getting a big kill or a big play, like that's king shit, man. Like I want that. I want more of that. Like obviously you don't want fans to take it too far. And I've seen some things that people say about guys like Ashen, guys like Diffuser, guys like Canadian, etc. And I think it's deranged behavior from a bunch of fucking lunatics who watch this esport. You can't take it that seriously. It's all for show. But I love when fans find a good villain. Heroes are not heroes without villains. Like for when you see guys like if Nesk finally ever does win anything, like if it comes over a team that you hate that are always seen as the villains, think about how sweet that is. Think about how sweet it was when Penta and G2 finally lost their matches. Like there's such a good payoff because you hate them so much that when you finally see them falter and fall apart and lose, you're like, oh, this is so good. And it's the same with other players. Like, like I watch a lot of traditional sports. There's guys on different sports teams that it's just like, maybe they're assholes. Maybe they suck outside of the sport. Maybe they're real nasty inside the sport. And it just feels so good to watch them get their comeuppance sometimes. I think it's great. I think it adds to it. I've long been a proponent of teabagging. I'm like, I remember reading something once where people were like, oh, like teabagging's like violence. And I'm like, you're a fucking, again, it's dork ass loser energy. Like, go find something that matters. Like, I wish I had nothing to matter. I wish I had nothing going on in my life so that shit like this mattered. Like, watching somebody get a kill and then teabag is like, if it happens to me in a high stakes moment, I get so mad. Same with the question mark thing. Like, if I do something stupid and I'm already sitting there kind of like seething and I'm just like, oh, I'm so dumb. And then my opponent hits me with a question mark, I self-destruct like a Voltorb. Like, I'm gone. Like, I blow into pieces. And it takes me like a day to reassemble. Like, it's so devastating. But that's the thing. Like, all of these sports, like whether you're playing like a video game, whether you're playing a real sport, it doesn't matter what it is. Against the best of the best, it's usually a game of inches. If you can get under your opponent's skin and throw them off, that's part of the game, baby. Like, adapt or die. If your mental isn't good enough to repel that bad juju that they're sending your way, then you're not the greatest player you think you are. If you can't give it back and get under their skin, then maybe you're not the great player you think you are. Like, use everything at your disposal within reason, obviously, like within legal purposes, to get ahead of your opponents. I think it adds to the story. And as a caster, I love it. I love when people are disrespectful and are assholes as a caster, because it just gives me so much to talk about and work it into a storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. Mint.
Yeah, I mean, well, I already gave you my kind of thoughts. My only thing with I'm glad you brought up the Ashen thing. This is the only thing I propose is
Okay.
that So SSG, they have a thing where they turn chat off, but you can still type. So you can, what I'm proposing is if you're gonna dish it out, you gotta take it. You know,
Yeah.
why can you shit talk? Why can you still type in chat if you have chat off? That I don't know if I like. I feel like that should be a feature. That should be they should look at that.
Oh,
feature.
they should have put that in. They should
No,
like.
that's the thing. You can turn chat off but still type.
Yeah.
That's
I
what-
know. But
Oh,
I'm saying like,
oh,
like they should they should like enforce that. Like you cannot like they should remove that entirely.
yeah,
Like
just chat off. That's it. Like
yeah,
just chat off. Like why can you type but you
yeah,
can't see
yeah,
it
yeah.
type?
That's
You know what I
hilarious.
mean? Like just
That'd be hilarious. Yeah,
I just don't think
no.
it. But yeah.
I
For what it's
think-
worth, I completely agree with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like the equivalent of like being like a fucking shrimpy little loser standing behind a bunch of bouncers, like shit talking people. And the moment somebody tries to give you like the goods, like your bouncer's, what are you gonna do? And it's like you're a fucking little cowardly loser. Like you
Yes.
should be able to like engage in the free marketplace of ideas, aka,
Yeah,
you know,
and
we are
I
not
think
advocating violence here. Verbal violence.
I think Siege is just in a weird state where it's like it's almost like people like it to be bland and passive and safe, like generally speaking, right?
You think that even with like the jinx, like I see your chat, man. I see the jinxy people in your chat. These are
So,
crazy
I
feral
think more
animals.
people would. Yeah, I agree. I think more people want it to be like you guys are saying. But
I think what you're saying was right 4 years ago. I think it has changed a lot.
yeah, I do.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like in terms of like what is the community's main reaction to a bunch of Stompin' fans coming in, and what was the main reaction to a bunch of Bolo fans coming in? It's mostly negative.
Yeah.
You know, it's mostly like I
That's fair.
can't stand these console guys coming in. When it's like you
Bolo
look,
peaking is ruining Siege.
yeah, and it's
PC
like
fans have ruined Siege.
And it's like, dude, if you look at every other competitive medium, that's what there's diehard fans that would like just suck the meat off their favorite player and
my
call them the GOAT and ride that or die. Like, dude, let me introduce you to my Golden State Warrior friend or Golden State Warrior fan friend who thinks Stephen Curry is the definitive GOAT and will go on for hours and hours about it. That's what makes sports, man. That's what makes this shit fun. That's what I will never stop peddling the EU versus NA debate. And it was so fun in Munich where I'm this loud ass dude in Germany cheering for North America and like just a row of 20 Falcons fans behind me. Because by the way, we were like like usually the streaming booths are elevated. We were descended on the floor, and right up behind us were like big metal banners. And there's just these fucking just rabid Falcons fans every time Emily lost a round. Every single time. I couldn't
I
hear
so hope
shit.
that's in camera shot. I'm just
Yeah.
He
Every
hit his
single
chair.
time. But between like maps, I'd be like, I would literally get in the heart, I'd be like, I love you guys. They gave me the thumbs up. We had a great time. They were set at the end, but it was like we were respectful to each other, but we were passionate about the fact that, hey, I think your team and your region fucking sucks, and I think my team's the greatest of all time. And I think that's what sports is about. So I think like the more we embrace respectful, right? But that energy, that passion, that feeling of belonging to sports, you could be delusional, you could be wrong. I'm fucking all I am is delusion, right? But I think that's what brings it, man. That's what brings it.
I mean, I think there's something to be said for being a provocateur, right? Like, you know, we can create content even here on this show that's, you know, very like low key, and it's just like whatever. But then it's like, if it's just Mint and I doing a show, the vibe of the show is going to be so different than if you're involved. That like you bring a different energy, and that energy is something that people will latch onto and will react a certain way. You know, that's just the way it works. And I think this is a great discussion to be had, because I think it works in all forms of entertainment. There's lots of people who see like there are certain streamers who are just, they're clearly not themselves. They're playing a character, but they're insane, and maybe they're quite toxic, etc. And there's been a raging debate that has never stopped, that are like, well, what's the point of, you know, being an asshole? What's the point of their content? Like, it's bad content. And it's like, yeah, it's bad content for you, But like, it's kind of entertaining to watch an asshole just be an asshole sometimes, as long as you understand that it's just like a game and it's not real. It's kind of entertaining at times. And again, it circles back to that whole thing, like every hero needs a villain. And it really elevates both of you. You know, if Batman was just beating up a bunch of like street thugs and there was no Joker, Batman is not Batman. I'm sorry. You just like, what is Spider-Man without Venom? Like, they are brought up by their opposition, and they're, whether it be a team playing another team, whether it be one player on a team making enemies, like, it gives you a reason to invest. If every single team shows up and nobody says a word and they all just shake hands, they all go, good game, and then they play their game and they move on, that is boring. It's less content for me as a caster. It's less content for us to talk about. It's less content for people to talk about on their streams. You are basically feeding an entire ecosystem. Think about all the people who are benefiting from this. Now, I do think there is a good argument to be had about too much toxicity, and I think that, to your point, Rainbow Six used to be like kind of an older, very serious, like, you know, we're the sophisticated esport, like, you know, Siege is so tough and blah, blah, blah. I don't think you can make a credible argument with the rise of Bolo and Despoid and Jinxie and Stompin and all these other people along those lines. It is evidently clear that a lot of the people who consume Rainbow Six content are now younger, that are looking for insanity. The thing is that we are so embedded on Twitter. Those people are not on Twitter. Those people are on TikTok. Those people are on YouTube Shorts. They're on Instagram Reels. They're on all other stuff that I am way too old to use. And it's like, if I go on Twitter, I'm going to see posts from a lot of the guys I've been following for, you know, almost 10 years, who are also about my same age, who are griping about old people shit. And then we get called unk. And then you go on TikTok and you will see somebody who I have never heard of in my life, who has 450,000 followers and gets 60K plus views per video with thousands of comments. And they're all just like, hype shit, hype shit, hype shit. Yeah, get him, like hype shit, all because this guy's talking shit. And it's like, it's a different universe, right? Like, when we did the Siege X showcase in Atlanta, I basically got notes on all the people who were there. There was like a TikTok team. I'd never heard of any of these guys. I looked them up. Some of them are encroaching like 1 million followers on TikTok. And I was like, who are these people? But it was a great reminder that there is a world outside of our bubble. We are very much, I don't know about you, Fat, but I'm assuming Mint and I are very much in our Reddit, Twitter, YouTube bubble. And like, that's it. The younger social media platforms don't really register for us. So we're very off base with all those things. So to us, we look and we see a lot of the older cosplayers and we're like, oh yeah, you know, they like it a little bit calm. But then you realize that there's a much larger audience out there. Like you, Fet, you stream a stomping game, you get 3,000 viewers. All those people come out of the woodwork and they put you in like the top 1% of Rainbow Six streamers. They're out there. We just don't see them all that often. What is that for?
I'm very proud to say that the M80 Grand Final was tied for my most viewed stream ever at 10,000 viewers.
Clap in the chat.
That's insane. Like a non-stomping game tied a stomping game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You've been grinding, man. I even said this long before you were ever brought on as a co-host of this show. Like your growth and your rise has been phenomenal.
I'm stagnating right now.
I mean,
I'm noticing that's just December, January, man. It's rough with this situation.
Yeah.
If anyone's seen like the roadmap coming up, like, I can't wait for after SI and whatever.
Yeah.
Usually that's the best month for Siege. I think like Steam numbers, it's like March because like it's right after SI and everyone's excited. But games are gonna be packed. We got that additional major. Like, I'm excited for some Siege.
I'm so excited for like non-stop Siege. But yeah, speaking of the NA versus EU rivalry, rivalry. Okay, boom. I think the EU LCQ brought that conversation up again because in EU, the pro team didn't make it. More of that and more after we do our next sponsor segment of the video.
And you know, that's a great call. And if you're looking at great calls, have you heard of Mint Mobile? That's our final sponsor. for the video. I don't use Mint Mobile. I say this every single time. I can't. Legally, I cannot. It is not up here in Canada. However, we have somebody on the show named Mint. He still uses Mint Mobile. Isn't that a crazy thing? So first and foremost, just want to say thank you to Mint Mobile for being our sponsor as always. This January, if you do want to make a call, you can use Mint Mobile. But make sure first and foremost that you quit overspending on wireless with 50% off unlimited premium wireless plans starting at, you guessed it, $15 a month at mintmobile.com/6SIX. That's mintmobile.com/6. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan is required. It's a $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. If you go over 50 gigabytes of data, the network may slow you down if it's busy. Capable device is required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Look at that synergy.
Type
was
There you
shit.
go.
That
Type
was
shit.
amazing.
Type
Look at you
shit.
go.
That was.
We have about
wow.
20-ish minutes left on the show. You wanted to talk about EU LCQ. You've already been stoking the fires of NA versus EU.
Yeah. I'm gonna
I
first.
got to cast this team at the Spoit Invitational.
That's true. Now,
Bring it home.
Mint already knows exactly what I'm gonna say in the second half, but let's just summarize the results first. All right, let's just summarize the results first. All the T1 teams got knocked out. All right, Shifters, which is if you like wear BDS rebranded to Shifters, I think they were probably the #1 favorite to make it to SI, if I'm not mistaken, right? In terms of like overall team strength. Gen G as well is like a close tied favorite because they had such a good stage 2, but I think like if you actually watch Gen G play, it's like, wow, this team is ass. Like their problems are pretty fucking blaring. I think like Shifters, like I'm pretty sure they were at Munich.
Yeah.
They were at
So
Munich.
that group. They went 2-3.
Yeah, yes, and they showed a lot of promise against international teams. They were putting up good score lines, and I think people thought they would be the ones to make it. That was not the case. Shifters got eliminated by the ex-Falcons roster, the Hashom roster from Saudi Arabia, with the Saudi Arabian players, with the twin
Twisted
brothers.
Minds.
Twisted Minds, yes. And that grand finals not only had Twisted Minds, but had another EU technically tier 2 team, Project Zero, which played at the Spoit Invitational. They had former pro player Greedy, former pro player Oscar, and upcoming T2 players Upor, Flexi, and Skeptic. And that was the grand final. And Project Zero made it over the paid team of Twisted Minds, which is like, mind you, was a top level international or top 8 level international team just like 3 years ago. Right, so I think that was the big storyline of EU, is like EU tier 2 really rising to the occasion and just taking down Virtus Pro, taking down Gen G, taking down Wolves, taking down Shifters, as a lot of chatters were calling shitters.
I was going to say, I want to pause for a second here. I would like this organization to consider my job.
Mhm.
First, you start with BDS, and just the inclination is to say BDSM.
Mhm.
And now you're going by Shifters, which is just going to get called shitters on broadcast 100 times. And it's like, I understand you maybe don't think these things through, but like when people are saying your names, like I just beg you to use names that are not close to things we shouldn't say. It was like when the Team Liquid Dota team split off of the org and they renamed themselves Nigma. And it was like, this is the final boss of casting. Like, how are you gonna be able to say this? How are you gonna be able to say this?
You are so brave. Oh my god!
Wow.
I remember
It's the word enigma, but without the e at the beginning. And I think it was like, I think it means like stars or something like that in like Arabic or another language or something along those lines. I can't remember. It had like a proper meaning. But I just saw that and I was like, this is the final boss of casting. Like, how are you going to try to say that team name in the middle of a fight and not just immediately say the N-word? And it's like, okay. And the funniest part is there's a clip out there somewhere of like a Dota talent who's like, it's just like nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to ever say the N-word. People are going to say the team name. And then you hear the Curb Your Enthusiasm music start to creep in. And then sure enough, guess what word he says on a broadcast months later? And it's like, no!
Wow.
Oh my
god.
It's just like, oh, and it's like now we have like BDS, and I want to say BDSM, and now it's shifters, and it's like, you're just gonna say shitters at some point.
Wait, they're
Continue.
popular. They're still going. That team still exists. They're still going.
Of
strong.
course,
They're still
yeah.
playing. They're
You
placing.
just say
bro.
Galaxy instead.
Wow,
or-
I hate to be a Dota caster. I would hate to be it every single
Yeah,
time.
it's like the final boss of casting. It's just I just see that and I just be like, you can't even like the funny thing is like you can't even shorten it because shortening it makes it so much worse.
I'm just so glad as a co-streamer that one Mexican team with the short abbreviation CN doesn't make any events, because that you know what team I'm talking about? Cinta.
I've
Cinta.
seen them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm
Am I
too
missing something?
Never mind.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. If viewers know that team,
I've seen them,
congrats
I've
to
seen
you.
them.
Yes, I'm scared of that name.
Am I missing something? What am I?
No. It's just that it's like black in Spanish with the A at the end, and then it's like it's hard. I'm terrified of it. I'm scared of it. I'm very scared of it.
That's
But
not good.
yeah.
It's not good.
We
We were
no, they
talking
were in
about
Pro
EU.
League. Yes. Point being, EU.
Mhm.
I didn't really watch it, but you guys did. I know Mint was
I
on
did.
a hell shift, co-streaming EU into NA. And then Parker obviously covered it. What was your guys' overall thoughts on the team's forms, the pro team's forms, the T2 team's forms? What surprised you? What didn't surprise you? And what do you think the overall end result of Project Zero eventually making it to SI as a tier 2 team?
Well, obviously, like, wow, a topic I actually know. No, let's see. I mean, obviously, T1 kind of shit the bed, right? Look at me being okay swearing on this again. T1 shit the bed. Like, let's not be shifters. The team, the number 1 seed, aka formerly BDS. You already covered that. Like, that's the team that should be winning. And then you got Gen G, another pro league team. You got Virtus Pro, another pro league team, and VP usually does well in like tournament style kind of formats, but obviously it's online, and they kind of continued to struggle. I don't think it's going to be a VP meta for a long time, so I don't know. It's sad. It's sad because like I love watching all those players, and especially Pasha, and you know, we talked about that too with I think a few of us kind of fanboying them for a lot of like older times of Siege, but it does not seem to be their time. What it does seem to be the time for is some of these T2 teams. I personally was rooting for Twisted Minds personally through this because again, that is the Hashom team. That's that old Falcons team that was very dominant during like SI, especially when they had Robbie on the team, I believe. I think they brought him on. He was like a top 3 performer when they imported him in. And so that is like such a good team. The way they play, it's so aggressive. That meta play style, it's so aggressive. They run at you with like Soulless, and Hashom is surprise, surprise, he's the Shome peeking you, if you guys don't know that, or like the prone peak. He's kind of like the father of it, I guess, since it's named after him. But yeah, they're so fun to watch, especially when they're against Dark Zero, and I hated playing against them when we were on Dark Zero. That the Twisted Mind or the Falcons border it's like their best map, and Dark Zero always challenges them on it. It's terrifying. But so they're really fun to watch, and then you got Project Zero, who did end up winning it all. The other T2 team. That's that Groovy was on Fnatic, I believe. So he's like a T1 player. They have some other T1 players as well, or ex-T1 players. So they kind of formed their own T2 team. And honestly, the surprise, I'm not surprised. I thought Twisted Minds would win it, but either way, two of the T2 teams. Oh my God, I don't know why it's so hard to say. Jesus. Either way, the tier 2, there we go. That sounds a lot better. Not surprising me. What it's leading up to, though, it's going to be questions for like relegations, because that's coming up in March. And these teams, not Virtus Pro, but these teams, these pro league teams, which I believe is like, oh my God, Fat, help me out here, or Parker, like it's Wild and somebody else, right?
Wild and Mako.
Matchco. Yeah. So those teams are going to have to fight for their life. And I'm going to be honest, Shifters, Virtus Pro, I think are probably better than Wild and Matchco. And Wild, I think, are making some roster changes, something I just thought about right now. I think the IGL of Wild, who's Evan, I believe I just saw a tweet in the past day or two that he got dropped, or he's looking for team. So No idea what's going to happen over there, but I'm expecting one of these tier 2 teams. I'm expecting to make Pro League over in EUL. That's kind of setting this up.
I'm wrong. Wild and Wolves.
Wolves.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh,
Apologies.
wow.
Yeah.
No,
We had
no.
Noodle on the show literally say he was going to fight for relegations on Wolves, but I mean, I also drew a blank there as well.
Yeah, so
I still think Wolves are shifters. So I mean, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. So
I mean, for me, I still feel like, since we're kind of talking about the teams a little bit, I still feel like shifters. I know they tried to get away from the Wolves, right? Because it's a lot of ex-Wolves players, and they try to get away from that play style. And their curse basically is like making events and doing nothing. And I mean, sure, we can say they're still a young team and they got a new IGL, learning to speak a new language, but I'm seeing a lot of similarities personally. I'm still seeing, because you still got some former members from that old ex-Wolves team, and you obviously have the support staff, and I still feel like they're a team that's falling short. It's sad to say, because I'm a big fan of Freck. I think he's a good up and coming player, but I'm still kind of seeing some of those parallels of, I don't know if this is a team that's really ever going to compete for a juggernaut spot in EUL. But and
they
this
have a
tournament kind of
weird identity as a squad. Like it feels like a lot of parts pulling them in different directions. It doesn't feel like there's a cohesive team. I mean, on paper, it's a great team, right? Like Freck, Robbie, great. Virtue's a solid backbone. Like, I know that a lot of times you kind of, as the IGL, you kind of get put in the spotlight. I think, unfortunately, P4 gets a little bit more hate for his play. But, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that, like, this identity with, like, Helby and Liloon on the team, like, they've always kind of been in the shadow of other greater EU teams. And you kind of have to wonder, like, what's going on there? Is it a coaching thing? Is it an identity thing? Is it, like, players? Like, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of thoughts on regional results, I just realized, as you guys have reminded me, that we just completely skipped over our like conclusive thoughts on
You were
NA.
reminded. You realized as we reminded you.
Yes, I realized as you reminded me.
I realized it. You told me.
Well,
but I realized
the thing is, the viewers canonically didn't see me realizing it. Sadly, when I was phantomly reminded by it, so I had to present it as canonically realizing it.
Let me finish my thoughts a little bit on EU
Yes,
here.
yes, go
Obviously,
ahead, yes.
I'm the resident VP homer. Quite devastated to see them lose. Project Zero is a very interesting team to me, right? Because let's go back to that Spoit contender series that I was on hand for, playing on LAN against a team like Panohone, which is the Finnish team, which was active in this LCQ. They got bounced by Project Zero 2-0. Talk about a grudge match. Like, yeah, obviously, like, it's great that Panohone won the Spoit contender series, but I think Project Zero winning the SI LCQs might have had the last laugh there. And then Panohone only took a single map off of Shifters, and that was it. But it goes to show you that expectations and preparation are always going to be different, right? Oscar got brought onto this team after the Spoit contender series, as far as I can recall, and he made a really big difference. He used to play Into the Breach. He was the only other T1 player that's on this team, to Min's point. When Mint said, like, Groovy was the only one that was, originally we're like, oh, Groovy was the only T1. Mint was like, oh, there's another T1. It's like, yeah, so it was Oscar. He played on Into the Breach. Into the Breach was not a particularly great team. They did qualify. They were in Manchester, I think was where they were at. I think was the land that they made it on. But, I mean, like, this Project Zero team is good. Their team is really quite fundamentally good. But I do wonder if it all rests on the shoulders of Groovy. Now, not to get into too much behind the scenes, but if you recall when Groovy was on that Team Secret roster, and then there was that whole like Virtue crying, and then like the Team Secret guy like apparently was like called them out on Twitter like a total fucking asshole. Groovy was going through a lot of personal stuff around this time. When Groovy made his debut, obviously people didn't like him for stuff that had happened in the past, but like ostensibly quite talented. And was very, very good. He's a formidable fragger. He can stack up against the best when he's on. Obviously, he was going through some personal stuff, and he talked about it a little on Twitter. I don't really want to get into it. If people want to find it, it's out there. You can go look it up. But it seems like if he hasn't surpassed it, if he hasn't bounced back, he's getting to that point, because this looks like vintage Groovy. He looks really good. And I mean, both of you can say from a coaching perspective, if I can see this as a caster, I'm certain as a coach, you can feed off of this. When your fragger is beating everybody, the rest of the team just plays so much better around him. right? Like if you can rely on your entry to go in and get kills and stand up against the best of the best, there's a confidence that's going to allow the rest of these players to play better. It is worth noting that this Project Zero team is not like this team's not been around for a long time. So they're still improving. They're still getting better. I don't know if I see Project Zero being one of the first like 5 teams to go home at SI. I honestly think that this is a good team that can make a relatively deep run. Do I think they make top 8? Probably not. I think it really depends on brackets and how everything shakes out. But I think this Project Zero team on paper is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. They beat some pretty good teams on the way to the finals. And they looked steady through a lot of those wins. Like, this wasn't like, oh, they scraped through. Wow, they won. I can't believe it. Oh, they won again. Wow, skin of their teeth. They had some pretty dominant map wins. And it's like, you look at a team like Project Zero, and it's like, you underestimate them at your peril.
I think on the Kruby subject, I absolutely agree with you. I think he absolutely showed why he shouldn't have been removed from that Fnatic roster. I also think another thing to take it into consideration is that he was put on Fnatic to IGL, right? And I'm pretty sure he IGLs. I'm pretty sure he's a leader, and I'm pretty sure that's why he was so vocal with his teammates, maybe in a more toxic manner at this point invitational. That being said, obviously, it seems like there's progression to his leadership. On the contrary, I disagree with your evaluation of Project Zero. However, in the greater competitiveness of Europe, which is the last subject of this video, I think if they are put in a group with a bunch of APAC teams, then yeah, sure, they could get a couple wins. But I think in the greater context of the Titans of the world, I don't see them necessarily going that far at all. If they have a good bracket, then like, good job to them. But overall, I'll touch on this later after we talk about the region that I want to compare them to, which is NA, because I know you guys wanted to have finishing thoughts on that.
Well, you offended Mint by not speaking to his favorite teams.
Yeah,
Mint was very distraught.
What?
How dare you?
The reason why, if you see that there was a stitch and you wonder where the edit was, it's because Mint went on a tirade screaming at Fett. I want to talk about DZ and OXG.
I do agree, by the way, with the Project Zero. I don't know. I mean, look, they might be able to get an upset or two with Siege at the end of the day. Like, anything can happen. But, yeah, depending on the group, I could see them getting out of groups because it's only, if I remember correctly, at SI, it's going to be the same as last stage as well. Yeah. So only one team's eliminated. You probably have an APAC team. Sorry, APAC, but that team's probably going home. So you're pretty much safe to get out of that stage at least. And then, it's whether they end up in the upper bracket or the lower bracket. But I do think, and I didn't know when I wanted to bring this up, whether this part or NA, but I do think, I don't know if that team is going to be a team after, because I could see them being poached. Like, are they a real org? And
I don't think so.
Fnatic is now around looking for a team.
It's an orgless team from the United Kingdom.
Okay, so they're orgless, which is cool, right? We have another orgless team. Hey, shout out Unwanted. We have another orgless team to kind of root for it in SI. Cool. I don't know. Oscar, by the way, I don't know if anyone's seen the stats, was the highest rated player during the LCQs. He was plus 26 and plus 14 on the entry, which is, I mean, it's insane, right? It was definitely the highest rated player.
Those are good numbers.
Gruby was a top 5 player as well. He was number 4, actually, and playing Mav and like Bandit. So Gruby and Oscar, phenomenal players. I could see Fnatic potentially, let's say, because we're going to touch on it with NA, right? Let's say if you're DZ, you didn't make SI, do you make any changes? A lot of people are calling for the Brits to go home. Brits, go home. So Nafe and Citizen go back home. You also have Oscar and Gruby there, and you got a bunch of Brits on a team you might be able to kind of form around. So this is just a theorizing that what could happen, but I know Fnatic dropped their roster, and they're kind of looking to probably build something else. Wizards also there, Brit as well. That could be the 5th, right? Oscar, Gruby, Nafe, Citizen.
Different wizard, not Brazilian wizard.
There's, what is there, 3 of them at this point? Can we have a rule, by the way, like only maybe two pro players with the same name?
I had to deal with aces, aces, and aces. Like, I don't know what you want from me, man. I have so many of them to deal with. Like, for what it's worth, Wizard is on NIP, so we'll be at SI.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think SI is always an interesting time because every single live event we have, teams, unless you are like a top 5 team, and even then you're not safe. But unless you are like a bona fide top 5 team and you're like, we're going to make top 5, we're going to make top 4, we're going to be fighting for the grand final. Most teams that are going in are kind of side-eyeing other players and going, well, if the wheels fall off, will you come on over here? Like, there is an episode after every single major that we could just do talking about rumors of like teams wanting to make changes. And I mean, like, it's not like you're going to go into an event like for example, Munich. You're not going to go into Munich and then suddenly a player is going to do badly and you're like, oh, like, we should just drop them. Like, that's not how it works. A lot of times when you go into that event, you already know who your first cut is on the team. Right? And it's like these players talk to each other. Like, these players all talk to each other. They scrim with each other. Back when they were in Vegas, they would literally go out with each other. They'd hang out with each other. Like, there's a lot of like just stuff happening behind closed doors that you don't think about because that's just how people are. They're going to talk, right? Like, oh, hey man, like, you know, if you're a really good player, like if the opportunity ever arises, like let's game, you know, like obviously I don't think that's how real humans speak, but when you look at like Project Zero, what happens to every aspiring T2 team in every region? Usually the carcass gets picked clean. So what'll either happen is like 2 or 3 people on the team will jump up to T1 and they will pick up an org and then they'll fill out the rest of that spot with other existing players. Or in Project Zero, maybe you're a team and you look at like Groovy and Oscar and you're like, let's just take them. You know, and it's like, you're going to go into SI. And the problem is that a lot of teams know this going into events and it can actually hurt their performance. There was a great example a long time ago. I think it was with EG. Young knew he was leaving the team to go to Rogue or something like that back when it was like Continuum. And they all openly said, like, the event fucking sucked. We knew Young was leaving. Like, why bother trying? And it's just like, it's true. So it'll be interesting to see, like, some of these Project Zero players might be treating SI not as the world's biggest event, but the biggest stage for a tryout to something bigger. Which could unfortunately mean that the team doesn't stay together, but it might be a life game for some of these players. And Project Zero does better. Because the better Project Zero does, the more likelihood you are to gain attention and possibly get a better spot. And, you know, last I checked, an orgless team doesn't make a salary. So.
Can confirm that.
On the flip side, can because you coach don't want it.
And on the flip side.
And you said flip side.
On the flip side of that, actually, this is very interesting. When I interviewed Igor, before SI 2023, they called it the last dance because they knew that Volps and Julio were leaving after, and then they already signed Nate and Felipox before they even played the event. And then despite the fact they knew half their team was leaving, they got second place at that event. So that's like the opposite of what could happen. Now, that being said, on the Project Zero thing, I'll just get there right now. This is what I've been itching to talk about this whole podcast. I think in NA, you have OXG making it, T1 team making it, and a T1 final in like a T1 top 4, right? Like, what is that a sign of? What does EU T2 dominating the top of that LCQ bracket mean in this scenario? And I think in this scenario, for me, it unequivocally doesn't speak onto how strong Project Zero is as much as how much the rest of EU just fucking suck dick and balls. Me personally. Now, I'm going to make a whole rage bait video about this, right? But, like, if we look at, like, let's power scale. Let's power scale, right? A couple months ago in the Split Invitational, Freaky Frogs took out with the old washed Geo on a team that didn't even practice, by the way. Like, these EU teams are coming in serious and with strats and practice. That's their whole identity. And they're, like, still the same teams, like, a couple months later, like, that played in that LCQ. Freaky Frogs was like a pug stack that reassembled. And they got 2-0'd. Freaky Frogs, yeah. They 2-0'd Project Zero, and then they 2-0'd Panahone. Right? Like, NA's T2 pug stack apparently is better than Virtus Pro, better than Genji, better than Shifters, better than Wolves, better than half of EU. And apparently, if we power scale, would place top 4 in EML if they were put there. So I think it more so speaks to how plumberish the rest of EU are. Secret, Falcons, G2, amazing. These guys are good. Good teams. And I understand that every region is mostly top heavy, but I'm sick and tired of these EU fans in my chat making these fucking comments about, oh, your region's top heavy. EU, we've got this crazy T2 circuit and our T2 teams are so professional and developed. Oh yeah, well, what's the answer to that? You went to fucking sports event and you got dogged on by old man Geo, bro. Sit the fuck down. And then someone also said, oh, by your logic, Cruelty is better than the rest of the world because they beat M80 one time. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that power scaling. You know how embarrassing that is for your region? That Cruelty is better than the 3 teams that M80 beat at the Munich Major, G2 in group stages, Secret twice in 2 BO3s, and then Falcons in grand finals. Cruelty is better than all 3 of your top dogs. I'm okay with that. That's embarrassing for you. So for me, Project Zero might surprise me, and I'm full congrats to them. They deserve it. They played out of their minds. They played awesome. But at the same time, for me, it just more so speaks to the absolute shit show plumber level that half of the lower half of EU has been playing at for essentially the whole course of the year that I've been saying this whole time. That Mint's been saying this whole time. We might be biased, right? Like, we might particularly be from a region to say that. But, like, I love getting proved right. I love getting proved right. These T1 teams, these EU T1 teams are some shit, dog.
You lots are bots.
You lots are
Look.
bots.
Look. Okay. So, I mean, like, the Spoit Contender Series is not like the bellwether for how good a team is. Like,
S++
I'm sorry.
tier.
Like, I'm not, look, I worked it. I loved it. I thought it was a killer event and I'd love for it to become a thing. But, like, some of the teams, like, I hung out with, like, the 3 of the teams. I hung out with, like, 3 of the teams. And like they were there mostly to have fun and be like, yeah, we just want to play on LAN and get like reps and maybe make some money. Like a lot of them, especially on Freaky Frogs, already kind of knew that they were going to get picked up by teams at some point in the future. And they still, like, I don't think it's still been announced. Yeah, some of it hasn't been announced. So it's like, but a lot of these players are like, oh, you know, like we're not even going to be a squad anymore. So who cares? Like, let's just have fun. And it's like, I do caution people when they look at like Spoit Contenders. I know that you're mostly doing it for outrage to be funny. And I know that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's great. Again, being a provocateur, great stuff. But like, I don't think you can look at like the Spoit Contender Series and be like, yeah, we've now set a hierarchy of these T2 teams because they lost. Just like how if Team Cruelty beats M80 in a best of 1 and then M80 wins the Munich Major, you're not like, we all know that Cruelty's the real major winner. Like, that's not how it works. It's not like some
I know that Cruelty's
it's not like transitive property here where you could just like change that and just be like, well, Cruelty's the best, man. Like, no. I don't know. Well, let's talk a little bit about NA because I think NA as a region is quite weak right now. I do think that NA is very top heavy. I know that upsets you. I think that when we were talking a little bit before about Project Zero and the where they were going to go, and just like, well, Fat is gone now. Internal temp high, allow it to cool.
Let's just finish it out. I'm gonna let my camera cool real quick.
Keep it cool. Keep it cool.
Keep it going. I'll be
His hot take torched his camera.
The EU gods just struck me down.
it's Project Zero heard you talking, and they just were like, not today. Look, like, and there's always going to be an NA team that blows up. It could be SSG, it could be Wildcard, it could be an M80. Every single event, it always feels like there's one. You can guarantee that there's always going to be like the teams that go home. It's like 2, maybe 3 APAC teams, a really dog-ass Brazilian team, depending on how the region's doing, and then 1 NA team that should not be going home, but just decides to not play. That's basically the first like 4 boots that we see at most of these events. And it's like when we were talking about Project Zero, I wanted to tie this into NA where I'm like, you can almost guarantee that like maybe SSG, maybe OXG, maybe Wildcard, maybe one of these teams like Shopify Rebellion, maybe like M80. One of these teams is just going to forget to play and is just going to go home. They're just going to get caved in. And it's like, you know that 2 to 3 APAC teams are going to go home. It's just, unfortunately, it's just the region is not really able to compete as much as we would like. Brazil is hit or miss. Again, either all of Brazil shows up or none of Brazil except for like 1 team shows up. And usually that's like Furia, maybe it's FaZe. So it's just like, I think there's an opening here. I think consistently Europe tends to do well. It's in Europe, which means that European teams historically do much better there as well. A lot of these teams are already boot camping. And frankly, it seems like from what we've heard, both NA and Brazil are going to go through massive changes in the offseason. Europe has been kind of immune from that. So maybe that stability helps them as well. I don't know. I think when you look at it, like I think people sleep on Project Zero, fine, whatever. But I think Team Secret could make a deep run. I think G2 is kind of a wild card. I think Falcons are probably going to make a deep run. I think Europe's very strong right now. I know that gets rid of your hot take thing, but that's just the way it goes. You don't have a camera, so you don't have an opinion anymore. Mint, what do you think of North America? You want to talk about NA to close out the show?
Sure. So, look, NA biased till I die. But if I'm going to be honest, just thinking about this, since Munich, I'm a little worried about NA besides M80.
Okay.
I feel like, and this could be me being hot and cold biased here, but I kind of feel like M80 is our best chance internationally. Shopify has now failed to show up for an entire year. SSG gets grouped 03 randomly. I just don't trust them, and I'm having doubts about their ability to IGL. I'm having doubts about their system at the moment. They're either going to just show up and be disgusting, or they just don't show up. And then who's the other? I mean, wild card. I still feel like Wildcard's up there since they've been a top 4 international team, but I also don't have the most confidence in them because I know they have some still young players. Spiker is an incredible IGL. I think he's right below the top tier of NA IGLs. I think he's improving, but they still got like some question marks with Dash, and they got some question marks with Baby Shark, and like can they keep performing internationally? This is going to be the event to kind of see. So it's like, besides M80, I'm a little worried. And then the LCQ team are sending OXG. Now, I do think they're going to get out of groups. And I also want to say that I'm not surprised that OXG beat DZ, since we didn't really close out talking about, I guess, the LCQ like results, if we're surprised, things like that. But I'm not really surprised at OXG, because if you look at OXG's year, I feel like they've had a better year than DZ. You know, he's going. They made the stage 1 event. They missed out on the stage 2 event because of wildcard. But overall, and they've just been like an extremely strong team, except for if Adam doesn't show up, right? Like that's kind of been their knock on them, is Adam's one of the best players, one of the best fraggers. You check out stats, but playoffs come, Adam doesn't, show up, and that's kind of their problem. But the rest of the team, I think, definitely showed up this event. I think Adam did a great job this event as well during the LCQ, and DZ, frankly, has not showed up the entire year since Reload. Like they had like a pretty good stage 1. People were starting, like I was even predicting them to be a top 2 team. I was a fan of the roster changes. I'm a fan of Kenny, but they just haven't shown up. They've had a lot of mid-round IGLing problems, late-round execution problems. Defensively, they feel like they're playing completely solo. It's 5v5, and somehow on border we're just walking into site, and none of DZ knows that they're just in the site. Like, I don't know if it's a comm issue or what. They say they know their issues, but I'm not seeing anything fixed. So honestly, I didn't think they deserved to go to SI. And then everyone obviously comes into my chat like, mate, you were on DG. Do you think they're going to make changes? Are you happy? I have no idea. I'm waiting for one of you to almost ask me that, but I'm not surprised. OXG, I think, deserved. I think they've had a more consistent year, and I'm more confident in sending them for an NA representative. I don't think they'll get grouped. I think their play style internationally it's not bad. Like, I don't have high hopes. Could they make top 8? Absolutely. Do I think they could win the event? No. But yeah.
I think the big thing here, and I don't know if you will completely agree with what I'm about to say, but I think what I did watch of the LCQs in NA has really just shown me that like the top 4 are just kind of in their own. And then everybody else is very clearly below. And when you look at Dark Zero and OXG and those Herculean runs that they went on in stage 1 and stage 2, it looks like those more and more were now just an outlier more than an actual sign of skill, right? Like Dark Zero, obviously, with Pamba retiring, and OXG with having some big performers struggle in very important games. Consistency issues are really what separates the big dogs from the kind of big dogs, but slightly littler dogs. And I think that's really just what it is. And it's like DZ still searching for an identity. They've been going through the wilderness, Troy is probably overjoyed at this, because every single time they have a bad game, there's a thread on the subreddit about how like, great thing that they kicked Troy. Like that's always, like Troy probably loves it. I don't actually think Troy gives a fuck, for the record, but I mean, like the people in the subreddit love it. But it's like, you look at the top 4 teams and it's like wildcard during like inter-regional play to me is not confidence inspiring the way they are internationally. And then they play internationally, they stack up really, really well. Now, maybe it's just that because they are like Mr. Worldwide of teams, having both a European and a Brazilian on the team with a Brazilian coach, who knows? Maybe it's just that teams don't have enough footage on them. Maybe that they have a lot of tools at their disposal so they can change things up and keep you guessing. But like wildcard are a team that you write them off at your peril. You don't really know where they're going to go, and you can't really tell where they're going to go. But I mean, I don't see wildcard getting blown up at SI, but every time I say this shit on a podcast, the opposite happens. But like you look at DZ and OXG, and it's like, I know you're obviously friends with Dream. I don't like the new look of the Cloud9 roster. I think it's got potential. I still think there are identity issues that it has. But then you look at Dark Zero and OXG, and it's like, to me, it is abundantly clear that both DZ and OXG are a cut below the top 4. And yeah, I think M80 is one of the best teams in the world. I think they have what it takes to repeat and win at SI, repeat major championships, because SI is technically a major. But I think M80 could go back to back. I don't think there's been enough upheaval in the meta. I don't think I've seen enough to suggest that they would fall off. But the LCQ kind of made me be a little bit sad about North America. And I know that's going to upset FET. I know this is going to piss off FET, but it's like watching the EU LCQs. I was like, damn, like there's different identities here. There's different ways of approaching this game. There's different operator pools. Like, they're not all marching to the beat of the same drum. And then I watched the NA LCQs and I was a little bit disappointed in our region, if I'm being honest. Like I was like, okay, like obviously the top dogs are the top dogs, but like we just don't have the depth that I see in Brazil and EU right now. That's all.
I
Mr.
guess we'll have to
Fettuccine?
see. I guess we'll have to see.
I guess-
Yeah, I guess we'll have
You
to
come
see.
back. You
I guess
come
we'll
back in
have
the
to-
darkness.
Because I see a DZ and an OXG that were able to that were like during the stage of NA were like, I don't know, they could be the best team in North. They could be crazy. Versus in EU, it's like it's fucking clear. Secret Falcons G2, good at the game. Everyone else, terrible. Like they, honest to God, like they made everyone else look like they
Sure.
were terrible at the game. So sure, like more shit might have fly during the LCQ because those teams are terrible. But like I don't know. I that's my personal opinion. Like I don't know. Unless I see something at SI where like, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. Like I'm happy to be proven like Project Zero gets like top 4 at SI and an unwanted run, and it's absolutely insane. I'm happy for that. But like otherwise, I think like yeah, Secret G2 and Falcons are really, really good. They have a good read on the meta. They have Brazilian coaches. I don't think it's a coincidence, right? I think they play Brazil style better than Brazil because they have, players that understand aggression and coordination on a completely different level. But I think yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say anything else than I really truly believe that the rest of EUT1 are just plumbers. That's my take. And
I agree with that.
yeah. Now to throw in a bit of a wrench in the system for like a tiny last topic, like you said earlier, this brought me up something that I wanted to think about when you said SI is where all the roster changes happen. And I know a lot of like salty G2 fans on their recent couple of international performance were in my chat saying they should drop this guy and pick up this guy and do this and that. And I was like, you know what? A real reality that might happen is if they have a disappointing finish at SI, that Liquid rumor that like has been circling around of them like looking at Lyra might materialize. And then I think the most natural pickup for G2 is actually June. Because I also think that Secret roster is pretty unhappy with themselves. Like Savage is yelling at them. And I think that's like that's a key sign. So I don't want to like so that's like a big rush. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. And I'm not saying it should happen. I'm just saying like I thought about a world where like the big titans in EU make roster changes because my chat's so obsessed with G2, and I was like, that's a more than 5% chance possible reality. That's like about like a 12% chance possible reality in my head. Like Lyra to Liquid, if that Liquid thing is true, then they need to fill that gap, and the perfect person to fill that gap is June. And no, G2 will not pick up Spoit because G2 does not have $500,000 to buy out Spoit. That is just not real money that people will use in Siege Esports. Yes.
What about Kaysen?
Kaysen is a June, so it doesn't matter. That's stage 2, sadly. But I think if NA would be stupid to not be talking to Kaysen. We cannot let another prodigal child fly out to EU.
How about we bring Stompin' home? Can we bring that hashtag? Like bring
Yes.
Stompin' home, you know? Save NA again. Well, even though we're
Millions
the
of
best.
spend
Even though we're the
millions
best.
Why would
dollars.
he? Why would he?
No, I think he would. I just think it would cost like G2 are never letting that. Sorry, like, G2 are never letting that guy go, like ever, bro. It's just an impossible asset. The same way my chat's just like, G2 have enough money to buy out Spoit. No, they fucking don't. like, are we serious, bruh? I don't think a purchase in Siege has been made over $50,000. Like,
yeah. When you get a player like Stompin or you get a guy like Spoit, there's a lot that comes with it beyond just what you immediately add to the team. Like Spoit could be absolute fucking dog shit, and Shopify Rebellion's going to keep him around because of everything else he brings. Right? Like we talked about this an hour and a half ago. Most esports orgs lose money. A guy like Spoit brings you legitimacy. Shopify is one of the richest companies in the Western Hemisphere. They do not need money. Like, you keep a guy like Spoit around because he brings you legitimacy. He brings you attention. You can build off of him. Like, they built an entire event around him where they flew 4 teams out to Toronto, put them up at a nice hotel. Like, it was a crazy event. And you don't do that if you just have, like, Chad the player.
the
Ambi
Invitational.
I mean, that would have been fun. Ambi was great at that event, but I think you can obviously grab a player like Stompin, but you need a lot of money to do it and a good reason. And I mean, like, G2 is still one of the biggest orgs in the universe. Like, they are a huge organization. They have a lot of money. They pride themselves on being the villains who have your favorite players who beat you. Like, I'd love Stompin to come home, but like, I think it's unrealistic. So get used to seeing him. Seeing him on G2. And if I was running G2, I'd be rebuilding the team around him as well. So like, I get it. Glad we're in agreement.
We're all in agreement, yeah.
We're all in agreement. And with that, we end our first show as DBNO in perfect harmony. Isn't that a great thing? Final parting words before we say goodbye to the good people who watch our show. I was going to say keep the lights on, but Fat missed that memo. Our camera's going to overheat now.
Oh, is that what it was?
I don't know. I
Who
just kept
knows?
it off just in case. It's an LED light, so it technically shouldn't emit that much heat. No, that's a science.
So, I mean, we can talk about this a little after the show ends, but I have read that the big problem with a lot of DSLR cameras, assuming that's what you use now, since you said you upgraded, a lot of them do overheat and you have to find workarounds. So, yeah.
Not really final thoughts in a sense, but we got LCQs.
We do?
After this episode for Brazil. Like, I obviously love talking Siege, so we got Brazil and APAC. APAC's happening probably right now, which is kind of cool.
APAC
so
is literally happening right now. It's live.
we'll be able to talk about that next episode, and then it's pretty much a nice little kind of dry period until SI, which is actually really in 2 weeks away, which is super cool. And you got the whole
booked
like
my flight today?
SIs. Did you?
Oh, actually yesterday, but it got approved today. So
Oh. And SI is a whole month, which is like the coolest event ever as a player, because you're literally there for like the entire month of February, and you miss Valentine's Day. So thankfully, I get to spend that here.
maybe.
Not a player, maybe.
Maybe we have some things that we are working on and might come to fruition. Maybe not. We don't know. We're trying to figure it out. And it's way too early to say anything, but we have things in the pipe. There's things coming down the pipe. So whether the pipe helps us or whether the pipe explodes, we don't know. But what are you doing?
China's getting 6-2 right now, man. Fuck.
Oh.
This episode should be going live on Monday. So if you are watching this, you have almost certainly missed the LCQs. Unfortunately, because we are in the past, we are filming this on Thursday, but we typically don't like uploading on Saturdays and Sundays. So Fed is taking this very seriously. He's very upset by the Chinese team losing. But you know what, Fed? I'll get him next time. There's still lots of games to play. I'm just going to say all the motivational Hallmark bullshit and hope that you feel a little bit better. I don't have anything else to add. Fett, anything? No? No? Well, 6 on 6 might be dead, but DBNO is very alive. We genuinely appreciate from the bottom of all of our hearts. Troy as well, who's not on this episode. We tried to get him, but unfortunately, SI prep takes precedence. Now, I know that wanting to win SI is a big deal, but he's already done it twice. Like, just come on and get on the show. Let's be real here. But from everybody who's touched this show, everybody who's worked on this show, everybody who's supported us from day one or day, whatever day number we are on right now, like 1500 since we first went live. It's been almost 6 years. Our first episode was in June of 2020. I just want to say thank you, genuinely. I know that we spend a lot of time being morons. I know we spend a lot of time being provocateurs, which is a term we've used a few times today. But we wouldn't be here without you, frankly, and that's really just how it works. So whether you watch, share, whether you hate watch, whether you love watch, doesn't matter. You help us keep this show going. We appreciate it. We are looking forward to a long future as DBNO. We are contractually obligated, so we do not have a choice. Help us, please. I just want to say thank you. On behalf of Last Free Nation, on behalf of Fett, Mint, myself, Troy, everybody else, and don't forget producer David, who you need to get him his Lamborghini. Thank you so much for watching our first show of 2026 and our first show as DBNO. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you live on YouTube next week.